its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
Only two things scare me, and one is nuclear war.
What's the other?
Excuse me?
What's the other thing that scares you?
Carnies.
What?
Circus folk. Nomads, you know. Smell like cabbage. Small.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
The Senate will conduct a trial of the impeachment of Donald Trump. It will be a full trial. It will be a fair trial. But make no mistake, there will be a trial, and when that trial ends, senators will have to decide if they believe Donald John Trump incited the insurrection.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
I got hairy legs.
I got worms.
How dare you? Joey Clark.
Welcome to News and Views in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Man, so much to get to today, and yet I don't know exactly where we're going. But if you want to sign up, let's start with, congratulations to us. Let's toot our own horn. Eddie is here. Eddie, how you doing?
Busy. How you doing, bro?
And you've been part of this, and Craig, you recently have been joining the show on a regular basis. You're no part of this. Craig Monger here in the studio. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Joey. Good to see you.
Well, last I checked, gentlemen, let me go check now. I was dancing in the middle of producing for Alabama Unfiltered. We, on Joey Clark Live, the YouTube page, we're now at 1,056 subscribers. So thank you for all the love.
Awesome.
Folks. That's pretty awesome. And
Yay.
we ain't stopping there.
They like me. They really like me.
So we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're slowly but surely getting there. So I guess in the news that just broke, national news, the controversial January 6th obstruction charge against Trump will be heard by the Supreme Court on April 16th. This is big, and no one has noticed. It means it's going to delay it to where the actual ruling, like when they decide, will come out in June. So Jack Smith's D.C. trial can't begin until after they rule in late June, which is really putting it up close to the election, and it automatically delays the trial as 2 of 4 charges against Trump are now in doubt. Immunity decision could even delay the trial even more. So it's... Man, we're getting down to the wire to where if they're trying to haul Trump into court, say a few months before election day, that's a heck of a thing to do. And this whole idea, like, how many people still believe them that democracy is what they're defending? I just don't buy it anymore.
No, I mean, it obviously seems like an attempt to drag things on, which is why they waited so long, it seems, to convict. And
Right.
It's just embarrassing, this whole thing.
And then the other trials, kaboom, is the way this is headlined on Citizen Free Press. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution has picked up the Nathan Wade cell phone story. So there's all this testimony where she's like, well, lay my head down. What does that mean to lay my head down? What are you trying to say? My residence, I had a mini residence. You don't understand. I'm trying to defend democracy, and I had all this hate mail. I had to move. So she kept doing, depends on what the definition of is.
Right.
Tricks. Well, just some bottom line stuff from this report. Late night hookups, 2,000 calls, 12,000 text messages in 2021. Nathan Wade leaving Fannie's condo at 3 a.m. multiple times. And apparently there's a new filing now, essentially to go after Fannie and Nathan, or Fonnie and Nathan, for lying under oath.
Oh.
Oof.
Now, this could mean, I can't remember the name of the official organization, but it's some association of prosecutors in Georgia. Mm-hmm. They can take Fonnie Willis off the case and put a new prosecutor to continue this Trump trial. But you got to wonder, after this embarrassment...
Can they not pursue it? Can they just...
Yeah, they could say, you know what, we're going to kick this down the road here.
Which I don't know anyone who wouldn't do that, because the poison pill that this case has become is just too much.
And it seems to me the more they go after Trump, I'm not telling anybody anything new, the more people rally around him. And what I find interesting is Folks are hesitant to like Trump. I think people that maybe voted against him 2 times in a row. Now, some of those folks are going to be doggedly always against him. They think they're part of the French Resistance or something, that we're, fighting the...
It was a Nazi. It was a Nazi, man.
Right. That's the tone I hear whenever I try to watch clips from MSNBC. Like, when did the Democratic Party become taken over by witches? And a few ogresses.
Yeah.
16 years ago. Okay.
You know what Trump is? He's what is it from Hellboy 1? The Samael, the desolate one. It's just every time he cuts down, just 2 of them pop back up. He's impossible. It's hilarious to see, and you have seen so many people run to his side.
You thought I was a little gecko, and then he stomped on me. And I came back a Komodo dragon. I'm going to eat you. Saliva's poisonous. Watch out.
I have an unnatural fear of Komodo dragons.
They really are something from a different age.
It's unreal.
And I don't think it's technically poisonous saliva. It's
venomous.
It's venomous.
Is it venomous?
It is venomous.
I thought it was just the bacteria.
No, that doesn't help. But have you ever go on YouTube and watch them kill a goat?
Yeah.
They're monsters.
How they fight each other. Oof. Like, a lot of animals fight each other, but it isn't usually to the death.
Yeah, when you're hungry.
And they're fast, too.
Yeah.
Right? Surprisingly fast.
That's why I called myself a Komodo dragon. Don't fight me.
The worst coffee offered by Starbucks is, by the way, the Komodo dragon.
Oh.
It's super dark roast. It tastes like dirt.
Oh, and then one guy I haven't gotten to. There's one clip I had from, I think, a couple weeks ago. But this El Salvadorian president, this new guy, Bukele, I think that's how it said. Bukele,
the prisons.
Yeah, he essentially transformed El Salvador from the #1 murder capital of the world.
Yep.
And there's pretty good competition in that regard. And it's now incredibly, clean, safe. Now, what he did is he just did mass lockup. How did he do it? Well, he said, well, if you're part of a gang, most of these gangs have identifying tattoos. So anybody with a tattoo associated with that gang, I'm sorry, we'll talk to you later, but you're going to jail. Right to prison.
And you see how well behaved they are in jail, too.
Yeah.
Right. And
Right to jail.
he was actually speaking at CPAC.
Really?
Yeah, and gave a great message saying that when it came to El Salvador, George Soros hit a brick wall. And he goes into why is it all these folks who are, nonprofits or running NGOs or who have never been elected by anybody, why do they get a say? Mm-hmm. And if you want to say, run for office. I thought it was a great message, but this is the clip that I've been sitting on a while because, it's not exactly hugely topical, but I think, have you ever seen enthusiasm for a singular leader like this in America ever? Maybe FDR, but what this guy is throwing down is, I'll just play the clip here. The energy of this crowd is remarkable. So they're walking out, if you're not walking, to a balcony with a huge crowd out of a palace, being reelected. Listen, that's the crowd, folks. The streamers. Then it'll cut to a shot here of the actual crowd. It is unreal. If I skip ahead a little bit, you can see them speaking.
Es literalmente el porcentaje más alto de toda la historia.
Literally the greatest landslide in history. And like that, over the top.
Yeah. That's like Metallica performing in Russia circa 1980.
Right.
Yeah,
like you crowd. Yeah.
Look at that.
Wow.
Trump gets big rallies, but when's the last time you've seen an American politician with that sort of support?
Me personally, I don't think I've ever.
Well, it makes you wonder because some folks, I don't know if I'm encouraging it or looking forward to it, but some folks say the rise of Bonapartism or Caesarism is happening around the world. This is why people fear populism if you're a liberal in good standing in the oligarchy. And you read history books about Napoleon or about, Julius Caesar, and you go, how did this happen? And how did one person get all this love and authority? And, well, there you go. It's happening in real time. And my instinct as an American, as a little R Republican, is to say, no monarch type, no big strongman figures, even if they're doing good things like cleaning up the streets and stopping murder of awful gangs. Mm-hmm. But also, the proof's in the pudding. And this guy has changed the society for the better. And when you look at certain aspects of our society, you got to wonder, okay, how do you even we're going to have another commission? We'll set up another like overnight basketball league. We'll, create more community centers and more nonprofits, and we'll fund the schools more. Well, we've been doing that for 100 years, and it doesn't seem to be going in the right direction.
Nope.
Maybe you have to supplement the whole therapeutic approach to life with actually some hard truths and some red lines you do not cross. Like, hey, if you're going to be cracked out, methed out, dead from heroin, a zombie, and you're on a street right next to where my kids play, no, I don't care about your life story. I'm sure it's a hell of a one, that you were probably dealt a bad hand, but go away. Get out of my sight. Stop. Don't do this around my children. And I think there are a lot of people starting to wake up to this reality of, well, we got to follow these rules in the Constitution. And the Constitution has just come to mean like this bramble patch of thousands, maybe millions of different attack vectors for lawyers to make money off of desperate people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd kind of like the whole Alexander the Great. Oh, the Gordian knot, we couldn't untie it for thousands. Well, just cut right through it. And I think that's where this world is going. But I found Trump's change of tone at that Laura Ingraham town hall in particular fascinating. Man, look at that crowd.
Yeah, it shows what is required and what you receive when you're a man of action in politics.
Right.
Much of politics is doing absolutely nothing and making mountains out of molehills and saying, look at this great victory, when really it did diddly squat.
Right.
But when you're able to have such an effect, a pretty violent effect, I'm sure that the result to his nation came at the expense of a great deal of violence.
Yep.
But guess what? They're not the murder capital anymore.
Right. There was already too much violence.
Yeah.
Way too much. And the beautiful thing with America is we don't have that problem. There's some of that in certain cities, in certain parts of cities. There's definitely some of that where the gangs essentially run everything.
And you're not able to do anything about it.
Right.
Because then you'll have some unscrupulous groups and lawyers come in and talk about how unfair you're being and this and that. It's like, no, they're literally murdering one another on the street. So can we just come in and clean up for a little bit?
Well, and my libertarian self from a few years back would hate this, and I've been dragged kicking and screaming to this point of view. But at a certain point, if your town or your city or your country is being run by violent gangs, the solution isn't gun control or more lawsuits or, again, all the therapeutic stuff you can do. The solution is you need to be the baddest guy with the biggest gun. And if anybody crosses you, you use it.
Look at the problems they have in Mexico with the cartels.
Yeah.
It's like they literally...
Right now they're ripping through the tourist resorts.
Yeah, and you have... The military is having a hard time dealing with the cartels because they've taken such root.
Yep.
So we're in the embryonic stage of this. What happens when they actually take over a city? What do you do? And then they get military equipment like they have in Mexico. There was, like they shoot down helicopters. That's what the cartel does. They shoot down helicopters. Do you want us to get there? I don't think you do. And some vague BS Twitter posts about civil rights have nothing to do with protecting your community and protecting your city and your state and your country.
Well,
and that's what these people don't understand.
North Carolina, it was last week that they thought they were having just a nice, I forget what the Heritage Parade, but it ended up being like an 8-hour riot. Yeah. Because they completely underestimated who they were dealing with.
The Super Bowl. You can't even celebrate the Super Bowl without gunshots going on.
Right.
Good point.
Well, and here's the deal, though. I don't want a South American dictator. I don't want a Russian czar. I don't want a Chinese president acting like a new emperor. I want an American president. And one that is going, yes, by the Constitution, who is respecting people's liberties, but who's saying, hey, all this other stuff that's going on that we've allowed to go on in the name of freedom, that's not respecting people's liberties whatsoever.
Well, if you were circa 1950 in Phoenix City, let's say this, if you were to bring in the National Guard to certain areas of Montgomery, let's say, and absolutely cleaned up everything, again, you could all of that, you could do that. You could get rid of the criminal elements, you could clean up these communities, you could get rid of the drugs and the crime, all the while maintaining liberty and the freedom of the population. The people who don't deserve liberty and freedom are the people that you are hauling away in handcuffs. That you have, when you become a menace to society, you forego your right to general liberty, to general freedom, and the freedom to move about freely because you've used that freedom to harm, to murder, to steal, and to rob. That is a principle that is as old as time in society.
Well, I love also this reaction from the left or Democrats or the witches that watch and run MSNBC. That really, there's seances. They're doing all sorts of rituals these days. Just watch. I'm not making things up. I'm not exaggerating. But people on the left say, "Oh, y'all want a dictator? We have a Putin caucus in the Republican Party." I'm like, how about look in the mirror? Didn't Joe Biden just disregard the Congress and the Supreme Court to cancel debt? How about DACA, deferred action? All this stuff that's being done unilaterally. So y'all like dictatorial, kingly authority from a president when it suits you. Or when it suits the bureaucracy.
How about military operations in the Middle East when nobody has approved war, an act of war? Congress has not approved an act of war.
And they make these reed-thin legal arguments. Oh, that goes back to that first AUMF about Al-Qaeda. And it's like, what do these guys have to do with those guys that blew up those buildings?
Blow it out your ass. Nobody cares.
Right.
That argument means nothing to me. It's like, well, I have this vague legal theory over here. No, shut up.
Right.
We're destabilizing the nation because of some empirical sense of what? It's greed. Actually, it's avarice, but this is our empire. We have to protect the interests of the empire.
Well, and Lawrence O'Donnell, you know, that warlock on MSNBC, he came out and said people don't understand the presidency isn't about giving speeches, it's about making decisions. And actually, Lawrence is kind of telling the truth. I think if they ever at Google or wherever OpenAI actually come up with artificial general intelligence, that's the ideal system for these folks. They want the president to essentially be an oracle, that when the bureaucracy and the system and all the experts can't come up with the answer, go to the oracle, go to the president, go to the artificial god, and like make them, it's a tough decision, there's no right one, but we need a process.
Yeah.
Give it to us, sir.
Like the E4s in Sparta. How did that go?
But what they don't want is a president who actually acts like commander-in-chief, is a president who actually acts like he's the executive of the executive branch. Mm-hmm. And that's why they're kicking and screaming against Trump. You know, Trump, and he said this in the Laura Ingraham town hall, the tone that I liked that he took, he said, "My vengeance will be success." It's a beautiful way to put it. It's not about throwing Hillary Clinton's, corrupt ass in jail, necessarily. I've never been in that camp. It doesn't make my life better to throw a bunch of people in jail, unless it's, violent folks on the streets. What I would love to do is give 75, 80, 90% of the federal bureaucracy pink slips. And so Trump will fully admit, he admitted in that town hall, that he made mistakes. That when he got elected, and a lot of people around Trump, when he first got elected in 2016, number one, they didn't think they were going to win. Number two, Trump relied on,
he said, rhinos, well-meaning rhinos, but I went to the rhinos, and they helped me staff up.
And Trump realizes he made a lot of mistakes trusting establishment interest in D.C.
Yep.
So what Trump people are saying now is they have about a list of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people ready to go. So if he wins again, not only are you staffing up cabinet level, you're staffing up Schedule B, Schedule C, E, and F, all the way down, the folks that are actually pulling the levers of the bureaucracy. And these are folks who maybe used to work in it and got tired of the direction we're going in. That's also, when you think about this tyranny, this oligarchy, this administrative state or deep state, whatever you want to call it, what they actually have are some dissidents within them. So don't think everybody in Washington is just a bad person. Even the people who disagree with, it's not necessarily they're bad, they're just misdirected, and they're misdirecting their talents and energy. But there are definitely folks who have worked within, whether it's the Pentagon or the State Department, or take your pick of any alphabet soup agency, that really think the system is rotten, and they would love to serve a strong president. Yep. This is why you're hearing the over-the-top dictator talk. And it's not like, Trump was president for 4 years, and like this idea that he was a dictator is just absurd. So we'll see where all this goes, but it's a remarkable time in our history. It's a little makes me a little apprehensive, a little ill at ease, but it's also like, hey, let's run into the fray. Let's enjoy ourselves. Now, before we hit this break, one thing that really inspired me, was seeing the United States back on the moon. Now, you may say, oh, we never went. Whatever. You can have those silly conversations another day. Maybe you're right. But, a quote from the Odyssey. I am Odysseus, son of Laertes, known to the world for every kind of craft. My fame has reached the skies. And indeed, it has.
On the 8th day of a 250,000-mile voyage, a voyage along the great cosmic bridge from the launch pad at the Kennedy Space Center to the target of the south pole of the moon, a commercial lander named Odysseus, powered by a company called Intuitive Machines, launched upon a SpaceX rocket carrying a bounty of NASA scientific instruments and bearing the dream of a new adventure in science, innovation, and American leadership in space. Well, all of that aced the landing of a lifetime. Today, for the first time in more than a half century, the U.S. has returned to the moon. Today, for the first time in the history of humanity, a commercial company, an American company, launched and led the voyage up there. And today is a day that shows the power and promise of NASA's commercial partnerships. Congratulations to everyone involved in this great and daring quest at Intuitive Machines, SpaceX, and right here at NASA. What a triumph. Odysseus has taken the moon. This feat is a giant leap forward for all of humanity. Stay tuned.
So cool.
It is. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Conservative Justice Sarah Stewart has the experience to lead Alabama's courts. As a tough-on-crime judge, Sarah Stewart presided over hundreds of cases, giving tough sentences to the worst criminals. Republicans can trust Justice Sarah Stewart to defend the Constitution and protect our families. On March 5th, vote conservative Republican Sarah Stewart for Alabama Chief Justice. Paid for by Sarah Stewart Campaign, 2029B, Airport Boulevard, Mobile, Alabama, 36606.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contract. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 special. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
The Tierce family has been your local Roto-Rooter service since 1964. Drain cleaning, plumbing repair, and those troublesome septic tanks, no problem. Technology has changed a bit in the last 54 years. Video inspections of lines to locate problems is available, as well as scheduling your appointment online. River Region residents have trusted Roto-Rooter for over half a century. You can too. Call today at 272-7130 or visit online at rotorooteralabama.com.
Call Roto-Rooter, that's the name. And lethal troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Everyone that eats 3 meals a day is participating in agriculture, whether they know it or not. I'm Shep Morris, and I've been farming all my life. Caroline Dobson cares about farmers like us. We need somebody in Washington that understands us and understands what's happening and why it's happening. Caroline Dobson is the best candidate in this race. Caroline's tough. She's a fighter. The Biden administration is not about rural America. The labor cost and fuel costs are just strangling small business. Joe Biden is out of touch. The farmer didn't vote for him, and he doesn't care about him. We need people like Caroline in Washington, D.C. that give people confidence to move forward. Caroline Dobson is a fifth-generation farmer. She's got grit, she's got country values, and she's got what it takes. Nobody's going to dig their heels in and fight for us like Caroline Dobson.
On March 5th, vote for Farm Pack endorsed Caroline Dobson for Congress.
I'm Caroline Dobson, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Dobson for Congress.
In Alabama, more than 200,000 of our family members and friends are living without health coverage. Often folks can't stay healthy enough to keep their jobs. We need to fix this. It's time for us to find a way to close the health care coverage gap so that folks can remain in their jobs. Where there's a priority out there, we as Alabamians have always found a way to achieve it. Contact Governor Kay Ivey and let her know. Now is the time to close the coverage gap and cover Alabama.
Paid for by the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-535-1904. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-535-1904. That's 800-535-1904. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network is brought to you by Ernest Financial.
If you're tired of losing your money in the stock market, call David Ernest, 334-279-7431. Ernest Financial, LLC.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. The forecast for the last weekend in February is going to be pretty good, all things considered. Today, we're going to become mostly sunny, and temperatures don't cool down much behind that front, with a high today around 70. Clear, cooler, but not too cold tonight, low 43. Saturday and Sunday, sunshine dominates, and temperatures in the upper 60s for a high on Saturday. Lower 70s, maybe 71 on Sunday. Then big warming next week. Upper 70s Monday with more sun. Near or above 80 perhaps on Tuesday. Could be a midweek severe weather threat. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
ASE Credit Union makes auto loans easy with rates as low as 4.75% APR. Apply online or visit your local branch today. Federally insured by the NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender.
ASE Credit Union. Your life, your goals, your ASE.
If it concerns your community, you'll hear about it on News Talk 93.1. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. I'm Joey. Eddie Bader in the house.
Hey, buddy.
As is Craig Munger.
Meep.
And I'm reading a headline here at 1819news.com. Elmore County Child Nutrition Director used public funds for family member's wedding. Board of Education declines to answer questions. And it says this was written by, Craig Munger.
Who's that guy? He sounds handsome.
I know that guy.
So,
good guy.
I want you, because you pinned the story, you've been putting it together. The floor is yours, sir.
All right. Well, allow me to take out my nicotine pouch so I can speak with proper fluency.
Yeah, I know.
No, this is honestly one that I've been working on since October of last year. It was started like just about everything else. Someone sends me an audit, says, hey, take a look at this. And, I check out audits from time to time, but you can't get all of them.
Right.
And so I saw this one. And the audit report was whatever. The terms that they use, I hate. They're almost impenetrable. But I got to a section where it talked about there was I believe the word was significant deficiency within their reporting. And it gave very vague language about an employee used school funds for personal reasons, and they used school accounts to purchase things with their own personal credit card. And then it also talked about just other things, the lack of reporting that they were doing, but it didn't mention the name. So I went to the board meeting, and the head examiner, a guy by the name of Newton something or another, Chris Newton, I think. I thought I was going to get some information there, and he didn't. He just essentially read the report, and they immediately went into executive session, and that was it. So I just started asking around, making calls, talking to people around, and I narrowed in on a name. And it was Casey Davis, was the director of the Child Nutrition Program, which is obviously the federal program that allocates food to children in schools. So I asked them for a tremendous amount of information, communications between various people at the Board of Education with her, some accounting specialists, et cetera, et cetera. And it took them several months, and I put 1,500 just to be safe. I really think it was about 2,000 pages.
Wow.
Now, they wanted to give it all to me at I think it was $1 a page. And I was like, yeah, to pick them up. And I said, oh, no. And so they offered to let me go and sit at the Board of Education's office and look through each page individually, which I did in one day. Out of those close to 2,000.
Wait. This is the Elmore County, school board.
Yeah.
This isn't the CIA or, Langley. What the hell is that?
No. So they are able to, the law says, the open records law says that they can charge reasonable prices for et cetera, et cetera. Anyway. I went through, and I think I took back about 230 pages, which was $230. I saved my company some money. They didn't thank me, but I thanked myself.
Well, you did good.
No,
you did good. Write it off.
I did that in one day, and it was a lot of Amazon receipts, a lot of internal communications, and from all accounts, and also the receipts for the stuff that she apparently used, and she used school funds to buy stuff from Cisco, from Sam's Club, and from Amazon to pay for what is almost 100% sure her daughter's wedding, considering that one of those purchases was the day before her daughter's wedding in Tuscaloosa, where her daughter's wedding was. And so I tried to get answers from them. And not only that, by the way, it wasn't just that. It was the fact that I'm looking at these Amazon purchases as well, stuff for not the wedding, that did make a whole lot of sense. Like, you're buying a lot of furniture, you're buying diet supplements, you're buying 12 flat screen TVs in about a 9-month span. And I'm like, I don't know what that has to do with feeding kids, man. And like a backpack and cell phone cases.
And so she essentially had control of the account that bought the food for children.
Yeah, it seems that way. So the way it's been, again, they didn't answer questions. So right. I'm only operating on the very, very vague and convoluted guidelines from the feds. And what it seems like is that the Child Nutrition Program gets reimbursements from the federal government based on meals served. They have a formula they apply to meals served. They get that amount of money, and that goes to their payroll, supplies, et cetera, et cetera. But they have guidelines that they are supposed to use for approved purchases. And furniture is not one of them.
Flat screen TVs?
With the only possibility that the state director, Angelise Lowe, told me that the TVs would be acceptable for was to put up in a cafeteria, to put to do menus and whatever.
Right.
I have heard it, though, on good authority, that one of those TVs is hanging up in her office.
Well, and this is the problem with these sorts of systems, is that the people in charge, who nobody really knows their name until reporting like this is done, can there's a little playing the joints here, you know?
Yeah, and you're buying keto powder, by the way. It's like, explain to me how that fits into a high schooler's or a middle schooler's diet. Explain that to me. These single serving things. How many cell phone cases? I didn't put that in the story because it was too much to condense, but there were cell phone cases, and there was just stuff that was weird, back braces.
No, and here's where I'm coming from. This is well, real quick before I go into my own experience, my family's experience in the private sector with a problem like this, embezzlement. Just to make it clear to folks, you didn't do the game a lot of corporate press people do, where it's like, last second, hey, I need a comment about the publish this tomorrow. You tried for months.
Well, the direct comment portion was about 2 weeks.
That's fair.
Well, so I said, hey, listen, this is my deadline. And it was this past Monday was the deadline that I gave them, and the only thing that I got was a statement from the superintendent, Richard Dennis's assistant, that Monday, which was, the statement was, we're not going to contact. I did speak to Casey Davis on the phone. She said she didn't know who I was, which I doubt, because the scuttlebutt around there, everyone knew what I was doing.
Right.
And so when I called her, she called me back. And then when she realized who I was, she said, oh, I can't talk to you without talking to the superintendent. And that was the last I ever heard from her. And I sent messages to the superintendent, the lawyers. I've only been in contact with the lawyers for the Elmore County Board of Education. No one from the board has talked to me.
Now, in my family's own experience, they be careful who you trust, folks, especially if you're trusting somebody to handle your books or handle your money in your business. And you might look at the statements and look at the bottom line. Okay, we're balanced. Here's our cash reserves. Here's what we spent. Like, you can see the final numbers, so to speak. But every once in a while, even if you trust whoever's doing your books, you should probably look at the breakdown of how those sums are being spent, how you end up with those bottom lines, because I believe a secretary embezzled $80,000.
Wow.
And it was on things like Sam's Club. It was like, if you actually look into the itemized sections, you could see, and the worst was, I sent off those tax payments.
And this is in defense of the bookkeeper in this situation, because I have those internal documents as well. The bookkeeper was in contact with the chief school financial officer, saying, you need to look into more of this.
Why?
And he, in return, sent out a very snarky email calling her, he misspelled rogue, by the way, it's not great for education, but he said he had a rouge accountant.
That's just a general problem with everybody these days.
Oh yeah. So I mean, so the bookkeeper in this seemed to have been expressing, hey, this needs to happen. We need to look into this. And I put that in the story as well. Her name's in there as well. But he sent a sort of snarky reply, and I don't know what the extent of his actually looking into what the bookkeeper was suggesting, because once again, they didn't get back with me. And the secretiveness of this has been the most frustrating part. Now, it bears repeating that Miss Davis, Casey Davis, the director for the Child Nutrition Program, paid it back after it was brought to her attention. It was it was $700 and change. When Jason Mann, the CSFO, was quoted in another story around this time, because Elmore Otago News did like a brief thing about it. I actually had to go in deeper. He said that no more than $600 was used, which is just a lie. That's not true. So why are you telling people things that are not true? Why are you refusing to answer questions? Why are you making me look through 2,000 pages? Why are you refusing to answer questions?
Charging you $1 a page.
Why are you refusing to answer these questions about how your office is spending public money? It's unreal that they are able to do this.
Well, and this happened in Montgomery a few years back, and now they really did clean it up, and they essentially centralized all the clearing of these accounts. It was where you had all these separate accounts, and people had
a card.
essentially a credit card to it.
Yeah, everybody had a card.
And they got rid of that quick, because I think the one I'm thinking of, I can't remember the guy's full. Yeah, Chauncey. I don't remember his full name. I just know that Chauncey was living his best life.
We missed out on a chance to hang out with Chauncey.
All right.
On the
he was having fun.
credit card.
Right. I mean, he shouldn't be using public dollars to do that. Honestly, I don't think public dollars should exist, but that's just me.
But if they do, don't use them to buy stuff that's not for their intended purpose.
Exactly right.
And there was other questions that this bookkeeper was asking about trips that apparently were taken and paid for, plane tickets.
But why is it so wrong for you to ask? I would think they would say, you know what, Craig? Appreciate you bringing this to our attention, because these dollars are very important to us. We need to account for everyone, instead of, it's kind of shaming you and hoping you'd go away.
Yeah, and the bizarre, and again, I asked for specific numbers of, she had stuff sent to her house that was paid for with the CNP money.
Yeah.
And she also used the accounts that are tax-free to buy stuff and have them sent to her house as well.
Right.
I asked specifically in my open records request for that information. When I looked through those, 1,500, 2,000 pages, it all kind of went into a blur.
Yeah.
None of that was in there. I got them independently from another source. And they weren't included. And I sent their lawyers an email and said, hey, what gives? And they said, and then their response was, oh, here you go. We initially did X, Y, and Z. There was confusion. Thank you for bringing this
Yep,
to my
there you
attention.
go.
Here's the other stuff free of charge, and it was digital copies. So if you have these as digital copies, why did you make me go and pay money for copies and have to physically inspect them? Why couldn't you just send me this massive container?
You know
of
as well as I
files?
do. They want to put roadblocks in front of you. They're hoping you're a lazy reporter.
Oh, they misjudged me.
Yes, they did.
massively.
Looking at you, I can tell
sat-
you are not a lazy reporter.
I sat in the DHR lady's office while she did her work, which should make you uncomfortable, but it's impossible to make me uncomfortable. I blasted death metal and looked through 2,000 pages in an afternoon. And I said, here's 230 that I need. And I got every one that I needed. Nothing got missed.
And again, folks, the story, the headline is Elmore County Child Nutrition Director used public funds for family member's wedding. Board of Education declines to answer questions. Written by Craig Monger. Just go to 1819news.com if you want to read it, especially if you're there in Elmore County.
Yeah.
If your kids are involved in the school system there and you're interested, you can read the details in the write-up for yourself. Got to hit a break. But first, this part of the program brought to you by River Region Contracting. And there at River Region Contracting, Todd Clark and his team are ready to help you, well, with that roof of yours. You know, that's one of the most important parts of your house.
Yes.
There's the foundation, and yeah, the bricks and sticks are important too. The
Certainly.
drywall is important, but the roof is incredibly important if you want to stay dry.
Keep
if you
dry
want
in there, Joe. Yeah.
Well, and it's also good to just be like climate tight. You know what I'm
Yep.
talking about.
Certainly.
So you don't end up having to call like Pest Pro Services down the road
Right.
too. And it could be you have a problem that's festered over a long period of time. You just didn't notice. So it wasn't an obvious leak or anything.
Right.
But here's the deal. You need to get your roof checked out pretty frequently. The manufacturer suggests 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, but in Alabama,
might as well do it every year.
Yeah.
And it could be whether it's an asphalt or a metal roof, each have their own unique problems that can pop up. So here's the deal. And here's the beautiful thing and the good news. When you call up River Region Contracting at 356-8635, their inspections are free. And their estimates are free.
Yeah.
And they're a team of insurance specialists. So if they find a problem with your roof that your insurance company might cover, they can walk you through that claims process, make it a swift and easy experience. They like to educate their customers as they're getting the job done. Again, that's River Region Contracting, 356-8635. And be sure to tell them that, well, Joey and the team on the radio sent you. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
I'm with Miss Dot at the Eastbrook Flea Market and Antique Mall. Dot, you have a big event coming up.
February is the biggest month we've had in years because this is our 30th anniversary, and it will be February the 24th from 9 until 6.
Anything special going to happen that day?
There will be surprises, giveaways. You can use gift certificates on that beautiful mahogany furniture that we've got, and we've got gorgeous mahogany. Some of it is signed pieces, as a matter of fact. We've got the Tiffany style lamps. We've got chests and beds and tables and chairs, and it's just so much. I can't really get across to you how much we've got.
All right, the date and hours for your big anniversary sale.
February 24th, 9 until 6.
And give us those regular hours of operation.
Monday through Friday is 10 until 6. Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday is 12:30 to 4:30.
That's the Eastbrook Flea Market and Antique Mall, 425 Coliseum Boulevard.
Feeling a winter chill? Then pack your bags and head to Wind Creek for our Champions of the Caribbean tournament. Simply visit your favorite Wind Creek location for qualifying rounds on Fridays in February. Finalists will travel to our award-winning Caribbean resort, Wind Creek, Curacao, in April for the championship round and a shot at $50,000 cash. Escape to the Caribbean and escape every day at Wind Creek Casino and on the Casinoverse app. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
For over 40 years, Headley Plumbing has been fixing the River Region's plumbing problems with fast, affordable service. The pros at Headley are ready to respond anytime you need help, and they charge fair rates for their expert service. They help River Region homes and businesses every day, from repairing leaky faucets, septic tank service, replacing damaged sewer lines, or just unstopping a blocked drain. Trust the experts at Headley Plumbing. Call 285-3667. Headley Plumbing, 285-3667. Remember Headley's motto, in our business, a flush beats a full house.
Headley Metal Buildings has been your source for quality metal buildings in the river region since 2007. Carports up to 24 feet wide, RV covers, storage buildings, even a sturdy metal barn up to 54 feet wide. Your structure can be customized, installed on level ground, and comes with a 20-year warranty. Let Headley Metal Buildings help you find the perfect solution. Financing available. Call 285-3667 for details or find Headley Metal Buildings on Facebook.
Hello, Alabama. This is your all-time favorite president, Donald J. Trump. My friend, Congressman Gary Palmer, is running for re-election to Alabama's 6th Congressional District. Gary is an America First conservative who is fighting to secure our border, strengthen our military, and protect and defend our undersea Second Amendment. Alabama, please get out and vote for Gary Palmer for Congress on March 5th. He will not let you down. Thank you.
I'm Gary Palmer, and I approve this message.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. Now, we've got some comments coming in on the live stream. Again, Joey Clark Live. Like and subscribe. I appreciate all the love. We, again, hit over 1,000 subscribers this morning, and I appreciate all that. But let's keep it going, folks. Again, Joey Clark Live on YouTube. Like and subscribe. And got some comments rolling in on the live stream. Joey, this is from Walker Watson. Joey, can you speak to why Nikki Haley is saying she will stay in the race a lot longer? Is she banking on some type of quote-unquote black swan event? Also, what's the latest on No Labels running a candidate? On your second question, sir, I don't know. I honestly don't take No Labels seriously. This idea that you're going to find, like, these two moderates, which just means continuing what Washington has been for the last few decades. A moderate in Washington is somebody who wants a big warfare state and a big welfare state. And they'll wrap it in common sense, folksy language, and nice enough people there in the center, practical politicians. But I don't know if they're ever going to find a candidate. As to Nikki Haley, I think she is banking not just, well, a black swan event, if you read Nassim Taleb, is something you can never really see coming.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a black swan. I think she is seeing it coming because her donors are telling her we're going to take Trump out.
Yeah, the judicial thing. I think.
that.
I agree.
And so she just wants that placeholder. But I believe the Republican Party she's trying to talk to is dead. And amen. Like, there's some folks that still, I guess, yearn for the Bush years. I don't.
I've yet to meet that person.
And so thank God the party has changed. But that's why I think she's staying in, Walker, that she wants to be that person with the placeholder that the party elite, that the Washington elite will just put in place. But I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it. If they do that, I'm done with not only Nikki, I'm done with the Republicans. I ain't voting for y'all. Ever. Like, screw y'all. My vote barely counts as is in Alabama. It's going to go Trump's way. Now, I'm not playing your game of, well, the other guys are worse. Yeah, they all suck. But you seem to be Quislings playing along with these folks.
Yeah. You have to earn my vote. I'm tired of the saying where you have to, like, it's a democracy, you have to vote. Like, no, I'm going to vote for someone that I would approve of having my stamp of approval on.
Exactly
And
right.
It's not Nikki Haley.
No, not by any means. Now, Gumtown John saying, Nikki lost to none of the above. What makes you think the people will still vote for her if that were to happen? Yeah, exactly right, Gumtown John.
Yeah, but basically her donors are not going to let her quit. I mean, they're giving her money. You just stay there. Just stay there and take this beating.
Right.
And you know what she's going to do? Stay there and take this beating.
Oh, yeah, because I'm sure she's getting paid handsomely.
Yeah, another $1. Come on.
It is curious, though, to think about if, let's say, by some miraculous occurrence, she ends up going to the primary instead of Trump. Would the Trump voters back her?
I don't think so.
I don't know enough. You know, a lot of Trump voters are too unpredictable to actually for me to say yes or no, but it's a weird thought.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. And I think Trump could run from jail and win.
He would get more I think he would get more write-ins.
Right, exactly.
If he wasn't even on the ballot, he would get more write-ins than Nikki Haley.
I would love to see the spelling on some of those write-ins, though, because I know most of them should be simple, Trump, but I'm sure a lot of them would be Trum and.
Well, how many would get disqualified because people would be like, put like Sic Semper
There
Tyrannis,
you go.
MAGA on it because they think they're being clever.
Yep, there you go.
It's like disqualified.
So here, just to give a flavor too, it's one thing to like be the placeholder with all the money. Her presentation is just, it just rubs me the wrong way. This is her on with Harris Faulkner yesterday on Fox News, Nikki Haley, and this is just, listen.
If who you like can't win, then we're in a whole ball of mess, and we cannot take 4 more years of Joe Biden.
How do you get there? This Saturday, the primary, how do you get there beyond this state when you haven't won a state yet? How do you win your first state?
I mean, it's amazing to say I haven't won a state yet. You've only had 3 states that have voted.
Well, it's literally
That's
true.
what yet means.
Right.
Yeah.
How dare you put that truth on me?
It's literally it. I'm not seeing any momentum, Nikki, other than into your wallet.
And she lost to who? None of the above. So
yeah.
Have you ever seen, by the way, just as a quick sidebar, 2 more just unpleasant-looking women than
the one
the
on the
2?
right looks like a lizard. I swear that's alien all
Like,
day
Well,
long.
actually,
Unlikable.
I'd imagine Harris Faulkner in person is a lot better looking in the sense that Fox News does the TV makeup.
Yeah.
And her being the anchor there, they're throwing it on thick.
I'm telling you, she's got a forked tongue.
No, RuPaul did her makeup, is what it looks like. This job is such a drag, I'll say.
Yes, talk about gaudy. And you think Trump's gaudy. You're like, okay, ladies. But it's just, why are you trying to make Nikki Haley continue to happen? And I appreciate Harris Faulkner asking the question in that way. And actually, I kind of want to hear how Nikki wriggles out of this.
Well, it's not amazing.
We need to
South
go ahead and
Carolina's
let
winner
these
take
states-
all. I mean, it's
Yeah, but we need to let
she's
these
going to pick up
states-
more delegates.
South Carolinians have not voted yet. South Carolinians have not voted
Mhm.
yet. Look, if you and everybody else tells me to get out of this race,
I'm not
it would
telling
be
you
the
anything.
longest general election race in history.
I'll tell her.
Keep in mind, 70% of Americans have said they don't want Trump or Biden. They are the most disliked politicians in America. 60% of Americans have said Donald Trump's too old and Joe Biden's too old to run for president. We have to win, and we need a new generational leader that can put in 8 years of hard work, day and night, making sure we get things done. No drama, no vendettas, just results for the American people.
Oh, goodness. Great. Shut up, Mom.
First female president in the history of the world, or excuse me, the history of the United States. I'm sure that will be free of drama.
What? Yeah, right. And this also, Nikki Haley said, what, 70% of Americans don't want the rematch of Trump versus Biden. That's true, Nikki.
Right.
And yet you're still less popular.
Yeah, right.
So,
Right.
come on, lady. Goodness gracious.
It's literally like it's literally like having a room full of starving children and they don't want to eat your casserole, but you're convincing everyone how good a cook you are.
No, but I learned this from Bohemian Dad on the radio. It's seafood lasagna.
No.
I thought it was good.
Seafood lasagna.
No.
I thought it was good. The white sauce and the shrimp.
The shrimps, maybe, but all I can think is chunks of fish that would be in there. That just sounds just so wrong.
Remember the old hot Kool-Aid bit? Do you remember that?
No.
Oh no, it was one of the earliest like YouTube funny channels, and a guy did a bit about trying to get his brother to drink some hot Kool-Aid. He's like, I made you some hot Kool-Aid. He's like, I don't want hot Kool-Aid. And he's trying to convince him how good it is. I made it for you. I just get hot Kool-Aid vibes coming from this.
Well, no, and man, we were talking about the early internet memes the other night. You sent me of the original, hey, what's your
Tony?
name?
Yeah.
Tony. Ezekiel. F you, Ezekiel.
Yeah.
Well, there was one where some dude and he dressed up in costume stuff, and it was a song about muffins or a constant joke where he's like, asbestos muffins. I'm making these muffins as best as I can. And I'm like, I can't even remember the guy's name, but there's so many from like middle school with me hopping on E-Bombs World. It was
E-Bomb
like,
World, I remember that.
I like Toitos.
Yeah. And I love how some of these kids that went viral now are adults and they can still milk it. They can make a career out of it.
With
Well,
the
it depends.
Well, the exception of the Leave Britney Alone guy, I think he might be doing pretty rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Brittany needs to be
watched.
Yeah, she does not need to be left alone.
No, I
Care for her, love her, hug her.
The depravity on Twitter. There was some video of her dancing with the knives, and
Yeah.
the guy's comment was "still would," and it's like, no, man,
the guy.
did it again.
That's one of the saddest. Like her
It
and
really
Lindsay
is.
Lohan. It's like when you see just a complete deconstruction. Although Lindsay Lohan seems to be doing very well with her Muslim husband.
And the one who did it right, though, I'm like, dadgum, I wish I had made her a mama. Hillary Duff.
Yeah.
She did it right.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about.
She's just like a mom now.
Yeah,
she is like a mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's wrong with you?
Topanga.
Every time I bring up the virtues of women,
Topanga.
yeah, she's great too.
That's the one you should have. That's your age group.
But I'm sitting here saying that women have unique superpowers that men don't. Every time I bring it up, he gets all.
Can you think though of a female child star who's doing well? Like I can't
really
think of
well?
one.
I'm sure there is. Like,
Drew Barrymore, but her show makes me
No,
want to,
she-
jump in front of a bus
Yeah,
that's
she just
transporting
turned
AIDS.
49, I think, for the third time. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, hey, let's hit our top of the hour break.
Aye.
Reset things. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. AT&T said the hours-long outage in its U.S. cell phone network Thursday appeared to be the result of a technical error, not a malicious attack. That outage knocked out cell phone service for thousands of its users across the U.S. early Thursday before it was restored. AT&T blamed the incident on an error in coding. A 45-year-old man has been shot to death in a New York City subway car. He was riding a southbound D train that was pulling into a Bronx station. No arrests have been made. On Wall Street, stocks are higher, keeping the market on track for its sixth winning week in the last 7. The Dow is ahead 117 points. The NASDAQ up 10 points. This is SRN News.
To avoid digital threats, turn on NordVPN. It's trusted by millions of users. Just visit NordVPN.com. One of the fastest VPNs on Earth will block web trackers, malicious websites, and malware-ridden downloads. It will also encrypt your internet traffic while maintaining a smooth connection. So improve your digital privacy and protection against hackers with one simple click. Get the special deal at NordVPN.com and enjoy safer internet daily. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body. From a little fender bender to total body repair, MPB will fix it good as new, maybe better. For over 35 years, the Turner family has been getting you back on the road. Call 279-7325.
Well, hi, everybody. The forecast for the last weekend in February is going to be pretty good, all things considered. Today, we're going to become mostly sunny, and temperatures don't cool down much behind that front, with a high today around 70. Clear, cooler, but not too cold tonight, low 43. Saturday and Sunday, sunshine dominates, and temperatures in the upper 60s for a high on Saturday, lower 70s, maybe 71 on Sunday. Then big warming next week, upper 70s Monday with more sun, near or above 80 perhaps on Tuesday. Could be a midweek severe weather threat. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
For the lowest prices around on flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies, Budget Floors and More is your new best friend. Luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, floor installation supplies, and more with prices lower than the big box stores. Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
I'm Republican Jacqueline Tomlinson. You've heard me here on the Greg Budell Show quite a bit over the years. Running for office is the last thing I thought I'd do, but when your community calls, you answer. With more than 15 years of family law experience, I've helped local families through some of their toughest times. And so, I'm asking for your vote in the Republican primary on Tuesday, March 5th for Circuit Judge.
Vote for my mommy!
Paid for by the Tomlinson Campaign, P.O. Box 821, Wetumpka, Alabama, 36092.
Don't settle for what Uncle Sam wants to give you. Get to Toyota of Montgomery today, where we'll double your tax refund. This month only, Toyota of Montgomery will double your money. If you have a $1,000 refund, we'll double it to $2,000. $2,000 is now $4,000. $5,000 is now up to $10,000. It gets even better because Toyota of Montgomery has incredible incentives on our new inventory, like the new 2024 Toyota Camry LE, now only $299 a month, or the best-selling new 2024 RAV4 LE. It's only $349 a month. That's double your refund money up to $10,000 plus save on new Toyotas and more for your trade. Get to Toyota of Montgomery online at toyotamontgomery.com. Part of the Sutherland Automotive Group. Dealer will match tax refund up to $5,000 with dealer discount off TSRP. Example, 2024 Toyota Sequoia Hybrid Capstone 4-wheel drive in-transit vehicle. TSRP 84,172. Camry MSRP 30,958. RAV4 MSRP 28,214. 12,000 miles per year for 39 month leases with 3638 due at signing. $0 security deposit with approved credit on sealed new Toyota purchases. Select new Toyota purchases plus taxes, tag, title, and $999. Offers end 2/29/2024.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. I'm Joey, and we got a full house here. Eddie Bader in the studio.
Hey, Joey.
Hello, and Craig Monger here in the studio.
Hi.
So, what do y'all think of that big outage yesterday? With first, it's like AT&T was knocked out, and it was a solar flare. And I'm like, no, I didn't buy that 1 second. But I mean, what did you think about it, Craig?
Well, first of all, I was only made aware of it by people in the fishbowl at the State House who didn't have internet connection and needed my help because their internet there doesn't work and you have to use a hotspot. So I didn't know anything about it. And then I read something up and said it was a solar flare. That anytime I hear that, I'm thinking, okay, you're hiding up for a legitimate penetration of
There
our security.
were solar flares yesterday, but they were not sizable enough to do anything.
They're sizable. There's solar flares every day.
Right.
Yes. So, yeah, it smacked to me of some sort of, cyber attack. Yeah.
I think it was a cyber attack. And because it wasn't just AT&T, but it was also Verizon, but there was also Google. Like, there's a site that tracks when other sites are down.
Yeah.
And you could see there was this hump on all these major tech and communications platforms, essentially.
We are a fragile society, Joey. Very fragile.
Like, honestly, if my phone stopped working, I think I personally would be fine. In some ways, it would be a relief. Like, I don't have to talk to people. I could just focus on, like, making music or make a good steak dinner for my grandfather. Like, whatever.
Read a book, people. Sorry.
Though we are getting to a point where what you see online, there's this big podcaster named Bobby Atloff or something like that. Attractive young woman. She does podcasts with these huge celebrities, but her sort of approach, it's very funny the way she gets.
I know who you're talking about. I had
Yeah,
to Google
like
it.
she did one with Drake that was really funny. Like, you'll see the shorts of her, and she's huge, like millions and millions of followers.
At first, I hated her, but then I realized it was a shtick. And I was like, okay.
I'm like, okay, this chick's pretty damn funny. She's got a good style going on. Well, there was this viral video, went viral on the X platform. Well, it might as well have been called the Triple X platform because it was a AI generated porn of her, essentially. Like, it wasn't real, but it looked real. And I mean, she had to come out and say, like, well, I guess there's a lot of demand, but no, that's not me, guys. I wouldn't do something like that. And that's a big star who can kind of get the news out that that's not me. Like, can you imagine? And I'm not just talking about the porn angle. If things look photoreal. If you can't distinguish what's real and what's not when you're looking at that black screen in your hand or on the wall or sitting at your computer desk, then what can you believe? And it makes me think you have to go back to the real people in your life.
Yeah.
Stop looking at these screens for what's real. Actually get to know the person next to you. Maybe go to a bar, don't take your phone, and just talk to people. Maybe go to a music venue, go play soccer or join an indoor soccer league or something. Go to the dog park. Like, actually get out there. And because if we're just relying on what's on our phones, what's on our TV screen, I think it's only going to get weirder and weirder and weirder. Because what if actually that big podcast host is lying? What if that really is her in the porn? How do you know? I mean, that's a simple example that doesn't really make a difference to everyday lives. But what about, we've got this video, this clip of Donald Trump saying this thing. We've got this video, this clip of Joe Biden saying
You're
this
gonna
thing.
see that sometimes, and whether you think it's honestly true or not, you're just going to want to believe it so hard that you're just going to accept it as truth.
Well, and the operators in our political world already do this.
Oh, yeah.
There are some negative attack ads. I'm not going to name them. They're running right now on these airwaves. You see these mailers. I think the one that just sent me over the edge during that Senate campaign a few years back is when Mike Durant was still in the race, and I got one in my mailbox, and it was like Mike Durant next to the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
And I just went, really? Really? This works? This is what sways votes? And it does. It's why they mail those things out. But that's going to be a massive problem. If you have people that can't think beyond a stupid fake mailer, how are they going to get past the fakeness of our virtual world that's rising up?
You know, I believe it was Douglas Murray who actually made this observation, and he said that we're never going to progress as a society until we cannot collectively agree on what happened in general. And he used the 2020 election as as an example of that, but it can go to anything. Look at all of the things that divide us culturally right now. It is at the point where you have half of the people who believe in ontological reality about an event or a thing, and a group that believes the opposite of that. And with AI and with everything else, we are now at a place where you literally have an a la carte selection of what truth is. Did person X say X? I think that they didn't. I think that they did. We'll never be able to agree on the truthfulness of any given proposition.
Well, and in a second, like what you're saying there makes me want to go down the rabbit hole. This happens every time Craig's on.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, it's a good thing. It's a very, very good thing. Please do not apologize. But before we do keep going down that road, let's go to Penny. Hey, Penny.
You for your thoughts.
How you doing, Penny?
I'm doing great, Eddie. I just wanted to chime in on what you guys are saying. I think you guys are right on to something. I'm very glad to hear that, because you know what's wrong with us in the world is we're not socializing. That's why we have so much mental health. That's why we have so much craziness coming up. God made us to be social human beings, to interact with one another instead of hiding behind a text or an email or a screen. It makes it so much easier for you to be evil as well, because it's so much easier to lie when I don't have to do it to your face. We've lost our integrity and our morals. And when we can put that crap down and start really relating one-on-one with people, because that's what God wanted, we'll have a better, we'll have a healthier country. Let's just put it.
Yeah.
Guys, y'all agree?
No, I do. And I think also what's happened is sometimes you need fences. You need barriers. Like if you
boundaries.
Exactly.
Tribes. You need tribes.
Yeah. And so what's happened in today's world is you know pretty much everything about your neighbor. Well, if you know anything.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like, no wonder you don't like them. Whereas before, it's like, I don't need to know about Tony's sexual habits and what God he prays to necessarily.
I need sugar. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that was a poor example considering you talked about his sexual habits. I meant.
Is this like a Def Leppard song?
Yeah, it meant to be like, hey, can I borrow some eggs? Can I borrow some sugar? Hey, can you help me come work on my car? Hey, can I come over and bring you this delicious casserole? Like that's
Gary's blacked out in leather.
Yeah.
I got your sugar. I knew that wasn't sexual, but
well, thank you, Penny. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Penny.
I failed.
Oh, this world is coming to a craziness, but But yeah, I love the show, you guys. I'm listening. I'm going to hang up and listen to you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Penny.
it,
Thanks,
Penny.
Penny. And on that, it's like I deal with so many young men, and just having conversations with them, or attempting to have conversations with them. It's a talent that I force myself. I'm typically not a social person, but I force myself to have conversations with all types of people. And you develop habits, and you develop what gains you respect. A firm handshake, looking at someone in the face when they're talking to you. And when you see so many young people now who are the products of modernity, it's like trying to pull teeth. Hey, I'm right here. Look at me. Have a conversation with me. Say what you're actually thinking. Stop looking at the ground. Throw your shoulders back. Have some confidence in yourself and have a conversation. All of that is so foreign to them because most of their interaction is through this little rectangle.
And I'll admit, personally, I always had trouble with that growing up. I think it was a natural shyness.
Yeah.
And radio has kind of been shock therapy over all these years. It made it get over that a little bit. But you're right, Greg. You got to be, forthright. And there are certain little cues, like subtle body language cues, facial cues that people are sort of losing. And I worry about the kids now who are just being born.
Yeah.
Well, and to this, conversation is a pretty awful thing, but it's also a good thing that the Alabama legislature is moving on this. You wrote this up. The Alabama House passes bill to combat AI-generated child porn.
Yes, they also did. They also did a bill, by the way, that made it criminalized making AI images of regular porn for regular people, for adults too. Because there was an event apparently that happened very similarly. But yeah, they did it with specifically for child porn, adding felony charges to that, and I think it's ultimately a very good thing because you will actually have people in certain spheres that argue that AI-generated child porn is not only is it not immoral, but it's actually a helpful outlet for the minor attracted persons who need an outlet for their sexual expression. And I'm one of the few times where I'm proud to say that Alabama said, "Nah, dog."
No, and I don't agree with that.
Of course not. No normal person does, but we're losing normality by the
I can understand the abstract argument that these aren't real people. These are just fake images. But you start entertaining that, anything, and you're constantly consuming that. I don't think that actually is an itch you ever scratch, and you shouldn't even be trying to scratch it in the first place.
Well, yeah, there are some itches that you just shouldn't
Don't entertain
to barely scratch.
Right.
It's the same thing as like, when you have people that have significant sexual fantasies that are violent. It's like, even if you're married, that's not an itch you need to be scratching in a healthy relationship like that. It's not right, because eventually, the fake loses its luster.
Yep.
And I think we've seen that time and again.
And the bill passed unanimously. 101 is nothing. 101-0 is some
101-0.
European football fans might say.
Ole.
Like my brother, he spent like thousands of dollars to go see Liverpool, actually in England. And I'm like, why you spend all that money? Then I saw footage of him there. I'm like, okay, I kind of get it now. That's pretty awesome.
They get wild in Europe for football. It's unreal.
But the question, we got to hit a break, but going into the questions that we could talk about with this, or with the truth itself melting down in the virtual world, or we could get into the latest with in vitro fertilization, the fallout from this ruling by the Alabama Supreme Court. What I've been saying all week, Craig, is, and I was backed up by Judge Napolitano on this, I think the principle of the ruling is completely sound. In fact, it's not a new idea. It's just them reinstantiating, no, this is what the law says.
Yeah, they didn't create anything new in this.
Right. I do wonder, I think there are going to be questions about how to apply that principle. I think the case in front of them was very clear. Like, these things were not just valuable in the sense of like property. These were like potentially going to be my children, and you screwed it up. Not only is it an expensive mistake, it's a life-changing mistake that you've caused me. So
we can get into that after the break.
Yeah, but that's one thing. But all these questions to me come back to like, and I say this as somebody who is raised Catholic, 12 years of Catholic school, who's been, my uncle, the Monsignor, has been giving me books to study up, and I've been wrestling with ideas. I'm certainly going to read Jordan Peterson's new book coming out, We Who Wrestle with God. But I still would say I'm a bit agnostic on things. Even that said, though, I think maybe the question of our age that explains the metaphysical problems is, what does it mean to be a Christian? Now, that might not be the same like if you grew up and you're in India or Pakistan or China, I don't think the question applies. But if you're in the West, especially if you're in America, I don't care how secular you are. I think that is the question that is troubling us, because all of our unprovable kind of precepts of what makes a good society, they all come from there for the most part. And when you see the division that's happening right now, whether you bring up abortion or in vitro fertilization or the breakdown of truth or the death penalty, all these issues, I think comes back to how are you pulling from tradition? What's your standing here? And when you see more and more schisms, I guess I'm not saying Martin Luther was wrong by any means, but it's only progressed from there towards schism after schism after schism. And now it seems like the political or the world is affecting the church, and whatever church you want to pick, more than it is the church actually giving and undergirding this foundation for us to go forward.
I could talk about the subject for more hours than are available in this show. Okay. And the schism of the Reformation wasn't the problem. It was the lack of adherence to the fruit that came out of that schism. Protestantism brought about the greatest flourishing in Western civilization in the history of mankind. And all the problems in the United States, the problems in England, the problems in Germany, everywhere you look, it's not because a lot of people are adhering too much to Protestant ideas, is they've completely abandoned the Protestant ideas. And those are, by the way, the Protestant ideas that shaped this country. Right. Every single person, right, regardless of what you want to talk about their funky Unitarian ideology or whatever, they all bent the knee to what was given to them in Holy Writ.
Right. But to your point, there wasn't enough of a governor on it to where even early after the Reformation, you get some pretty weird things. Like the predictions made that if we give this to the everyday person in native tongues, that they're going to misinterpret it or abuse it. Yeah, that did happen. But then you also, talk about Luther's trip to Rome. Yeah. And what he's seeing there.
The young boys, the pederasty that was available there.
Then the indulgences, and then like weird, almost like tourist attraction relics, and you could walk these stairs that Jesus walked and all that.
Desiderius Erasmus, talking about relics, said that if you assembled all of the alleged pieces of the cross that exist in the Vatican vaults, you could assemble a boat. And Erasmus was a Roman Catholic pope. He was as Protestant as you could be at the time without actually being Protestant.
Right. And so there's a big conversation to be had there. We do have to hit this break. Before we hit the break, this part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And, men, as we age, two things in particular can happen. Low testosterone, as well as things like erectile dysfunction. And it's nothing to deny, put off, or be ashamed about. And not something to wait to get fixed. And in fact, there are a lot of guys walking around, not just guys who have gotten older, who are maturing. You're going to get low T as you get older, folks. But there are even a lot of young men walking around with these symptoms of like low energy, always tired. They got the Jeb Bushes. They're just always tired. They're seeing unwanted weight gain, loss of muscle mass, even a decrease in sex drive, any desire. And you just feel like they're walking through life in a fog. And guys being guys, especially young guys, they're just going to grin and bear it. Like, I don't need to go to the doctor. But no, Montgomery Men's Health was created just for guys like you. Knowing whether you have low T is huge in combating a lot of these issues. So the providers of Montgomery Men's Health will conduct a testosterone-focused lab workup plus a consultation for only $99. And they have treatments there at Montgomery Men's Health for low T that can truly change lives. Men can experience higher energy, better gains in the gym. Brother. That's right, brother. Better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism, you usually notice an increased libido.
Nothing wrong with that, Joe.
There's a lot right with it. You can actually book the same day that you call. Guys, it's time to feel amazing and hit your goals this year. That number, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to book your appointment today. Be sure to tell them you heard about him here. Those guys on the radio, Joey and Eddie, sent us. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going. But whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Come see how you can drive a new Lexus from Lexus of Montgomery today. Get to the luxury event 4 years in the making. The Leap Year Lexus Savings Event. This month only, buy a new Lexus and leap past your payments till May. Drive true luxury in the 2024 Lexus RX. Now $499 a month. You can drive a new Lexus today. Visit Lexus of Montgomery, part of the Sutherland Automotive Group.
With approved credit number RC02C205, 36 months, 10,000 miles, with $3,499 due at signing, plus tax, tag, title, and dock fee.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. If you're looking for waterproof carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measurement.
Prattville Carpet is a family-owned flooring store that prides itself on personal service, quality products, and guaranteed installation. From beautiful hardwood floors to luxurious smart strand carpet, Prattville Carpet has you covered. Call, come by, or online at prattvillecarpet.com.
Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
Everyone that eats 3 meals a day is participating in agriculture, whether they know it or not. I'm Shep Morris, and I've been farming all my life. Caroline Dodson cares about farmers like us. We need somebody in Washington that understands us and understands what's happening and why it's happening. Caroline Dobson is the best candidate in this race. Caroline's tough. She's a fighter. The Biden administration is not about rural America. The labor cost and fuel costs are just strangling small business. Joe Biden is out of touch. The farmer didn't vote for him, and he doesn't care about it. We need people like Caroline in Washington, D.C. that give people confidence to move forward. Caroline Dobson is a fifth-generation farmer. She's got grit, she's got country values, and she's got what it takes. Nobody's going to dig their heels in and fight for us like Caroline Dobson.
On March 5th, vote for Farm Pack endorsed Caroline Dobson for Congress.
I'm Caroline Dobson, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Dobson for Congress.
Sweetheart?
Yeah?
Well, I've been thinking, I'm tired of this house.
What? You want to move?
Yeah, but we'd have to do some updating, to get top dollar.
Updating really does make a lot of sense, especially when you're talking about lighting. That's where Crosby Electric comes in. They'll help you choose a stunning pendant fixture over your bathroom sink, dramatic flush mount lighting over your kitchen island, maybe some LED panels to backlight your countertops. Energy-saving LED lighting has really come down in price. Or how about a new ceiling fan that moves air more efficiently than fans built only 10 years ago? The bottom line, updating your lighting almost always delivers a full return on your investment.
Well, sweetheart, the house looks fabulous.
Yeah.
Guess I'll put out the for sale sign.
Wait.
What?
I don't want to move.
Find out how to turn your house into the home you'll never want to leave. Visit crosbyelectric.com or call 272-2085.
In Alabama, more than 200,000 of our friends and neighbors are living without health coverage. Often folks can't stay healthy enough to keep their jobs. We need to fix this. Contact Governor Kay Ivey and let her know. Now is the time to close the coverage gap and cover Alabama.
Paid for by the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
The River Region's first and only news talk station on FM. Live, local talk. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program. Kind of flying by the seat of my pants given, I had to cover for Sky. And without going into details, y'all all say, when you have a quiet moment, a prayer for Sky Mosley. He needs them at this moment.
I'm sorry, I'm left unawares. What?
I'll tell you off air, but because it's not mine to tell.
Roger that.
But
apologies.
Everybody say a prayer for him and his family. Let's go to Ann. This is Eddie.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hey, Ann. Thanks for being patient.
Hey, no problem. I was going to backtrack just a
few minutes
Sure.
to your technology discussion. Had an interesting conversation yesterday. I was over at Auburn University with an advisory board, and one of the professors is getting a group of students ready to go overseas on a learning trip. And he said the big fad these days with the kids are the old school digital cameras and landlines. And I was like, So kids are backtracking to technology that is not as easily intercepted and manipulated. Maybe they're not as dumb as some of us think they are.
Well, and they might be kind of reacted in the right way. They can see how unreal it makes you feel. And it's seriously, if you stare at a screen, you really get into something for hours, and you finally, I'm sure we've all done it. And then you look up and you go about your day, you feel a little out of it, like it was a drug or something.
With my particular brand of autism makes me do that for like really interesting things that become helpful later. Like how are blenders made? I'll spend an hour looking at how those are produced. And then I'll be like, okay, that was a rabbit hole I probably shouldn't have gone down.
Yeah, and one of them was interested that she had spent her summer with a firm that still hand draws all of their architectural drawings.
Beautiful.
And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. You know, these days, everyone's into the 3D modeling and CAD software, and there's still a few folks out there that appreciate the fine arts and the skills.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll all come back more the real thing. People searching for the real.
Who could do a Sistine Chapel these days? Do you
Right.
know?
Right.
They couldn't rebuild Notre Dame because that level of craftsmanship
It's
just doesn't
gone.
exist.
Doesn't exist anymore.
It's gone, yeah.
sad.
That's the truth. We can't even build a piece of junk building these days.
Right.
Yeah, it's all like all like paper bush nonsense. It's like the buildings are meant to not last.
Right.
Meanwhile, the people that built in antiquity built specifically to last, and it did.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's tax driven too, because once a building, especially with developers, they build them to last 5 to 7 years, and then they sell them because they can't write them off any longer. So they don't care if they fall apart after that or not.
Mammon is an enemy.
Mm-hmm. Well, great call, Ann. I really appreciate you holding on and listening and talking to us.
Sure, enjoy the show. Appreciate
you,
you
Ann.
guys.
Appreciate
All right, bye-bye.
The most popular Boleyn.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Did you ever watch that Showtime series that they did?
No.
About
The
Henry VIII?
Tudors? Was it the
Tudors, yeah.
I've seen like clips and everything, but I haven't seen the whole
It's
thing.
pretty Showtime up. There's a lot of naked people in that.
Yeah. Which I'm sure there was a lot of naked times in medieval times, but I don't need to see it.
Well, and it does suggest, and I think this is historically accurate. Henry VIII, you always see those like old photos of him where when he's old, where they had to actually expand his armor so it fit. Like he became this corpulent is the word that comes to my mind.
He was svelte.
But apparently when he was a young man, he was like hot stuff, like and a warrior, all like sportsman, loved the ladies. Like
Happens to a lot of us, Joy. Happens to a lot of us.
Yeah.
Wait, were you like Henry VIII? That
I'm
is
saying
you.
that happens to a lot of us.
Robert Baratheon in the Game of Thrones series was very much based off Henry VIII.
There you go. There you go. So I don't even know where to begin with the conversation. But in this sense, when I talk about what does it mean to be a Christian, you might even want to step back from that. You brought up the Sistine Chapel.
Mm-hmm.
I have in my room, it's an oversized canvas, and it's called The School of Athens by Raphael. And that is right off of the Sistine Chapel, one of the papal apartments. I think it was commissioned by Pope Julian. And it is essentially, I love it, and I love having it in my room because it's all the great thinkers of Greece. From Diogenes the dog to Euclid, Ptolemy, to right in the middle there. You've seen the photo, I'm sure, folks, where it's Plato and Aristotle's pointing to the ground and Plato's pointing to the sky, which I think that is in Western thought, at least philosophical thought, that's the difference. Plato's like, no, there are things more real than all the real stuff we see in front of us, and you have to get to the true spirit of things, get out of the cave and see, beyond just your lying eyes. Whereas Aristotle's like, no, like stuff is real. We should document it. Like that's how you figure out truth. You actually look at the real world and you put it together and you make sense of it. But I have that there, and I love it because even though I adore when I read some of these philosophers or thinkers from, say, the Greek tradition, or even you start getting into the Caesars and the Roman Republic before the empire, you start to realize that as much as I appreciate them, and they still influence our society today, I ain't like them.
No.
They're very different.
They're incomplete.
Right.
I think it's a good word for them.
And it's like a sense of, it seems like I'm looking at aliens. And they're cool aliens. They're aliens that still, yes, bear influence on our society today. I really do buy into this, the West's attention between Athens and Jerusalem in a lot of ways.
Tertullian, yeah.
But it's not quite the same type of people that I know even in Alabama, that I know in my own family that aren't necessarily from the state, but, retired here. Like, there is a sort of basic Christian love, even with some of the worst folks. Like, we assume things about how we want to take care and consider others, and it doesn't seem like we actually understand the foundations that lead us to these inclinations. So that's why I bring up, what does it mean to be a Christian? And here's where I have an issue, is that there are so many different types of Christians now. And I think the arguments of who's right and who's wrong on matters of, does it hew to scripture, what's the tradition, very important conversations, should be had more often in public. I don't know how much denominations all want to get together and have those conversations all
They
the
happen
time.
more frequently than you think.
And I've seen some online, some great, like, Catholic talking to a Baptist sort of thing. And
There's a man who I adore, by the way. I own most of everything he's ever written. His name is Dr. James White, and he's done this for 40 years. He'll debate anything. He'll debate the LGBTQ issue in Scripture. He'll debate Calvinism. That's his big thing. I'm a proud Calvinist, by the way. He'll debate the Catholic. He'll debate Muslims. He is probably the most learned Christian I've ever heard on Islam, and he debates the who's who of Islam. So he goes in there, debates. In Mormons, he was this guy has been incredible with what he's done. Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, Muslims, Roman Catholics, Unitarians. He wrote a book on the Trinity that I would recommend everyone read.
Right.
It's called The Forgotten Trinity. But that happens. Those debates do happen. And now they're not so popular in secular culture, but they do happen because they believe there's an objective truth to be found in Scripture, in God's Word, and that is not just the governing body of text for our life. It tells you something about the universe. Who is man in relation to the universe? And the Christian answer is that he is a creature created by God in his image. Therefore, he has value. Therefore, he has purpose. And that purpose is to glorify his creator. And how you do that is very important because God has given us his word. He has condescended to speak to his people throughout time. And first and foremost, and greatliest, if that's not even a word, but in the greatest form, through the person and work of Jesus Christ.
Right.
And that is what it means to be a Christian, to recognize God is God, I am not. I am a creature made in his image, made to glorify my greatest purpose. It's in the Catechism. What is the chief end of man? To glorify God and enjoy him forever.
Well, and you start to see, too, that how different we are than the folks. For instance, I brought up Aristotle earlier. Aristotle literally makes the argument that there are certain classes of people or certain individuals who are natural slaves and lessers. You saw that especially in the Roman tradition, and even in the West when you still had nobilities, you still saw, I think, the remnants of that. And then this message of being equal in the eyes of God continues to chip away at that ancient regime. But you went right where I'm at this point, and I don't think I think there are a lot of people who appreciate the traditions of the West, in particular the Christian tradition, who still find themselves agnostic, who say maybe the starting point is, and I brought up all the different denominations for this reason. It's great to have those debates, but are we really going to convince people to stop going to that church, go to the other one? You might get a few folks.
I've done it.
Right. It's possible, but I think we're still going to have this large interpretation, who's exactly right about the scriptures and God, and the arguments should be had. To me, it seems like something very non-Christian, though, is starting to creep in. And that's where, when you said what we can, I would hope, agree on, having some humility, is none of us are God. And I think there is a movement more and more. Look at AI and the push for artificial general intelligence. It somewhat pops up. I'm not talking about necessarily the average trans person or some, impressionable young mind, but there are some of the activists who explicitly are leaning into, we can become gods.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really what everybody who I think is operating in good faith needs to look at, identify, and say, okay, and marginalize. We don't need to go down this road. If we want to still have our arguments over interpretations, if we still want to have a society with these instincts that are at the end of the day pretty Christian, we need to root this other stuff that's rising up out. And, the kicker is, I've said this on these airwaves plenty of times, if I was the devil and I would say running for president, I would tell you I'm a Christian, of course.
Yeah. Well, think about this. What did Satan communicate to Eve was the reason God did not want them to eat that fruit? It wasn't just hath God not said. That's how he started. He says he knows that if you eat of this fruit, then your eyes will be open and you will be like God.
Yep.
That was the first temptation of man, was to be God.
But I know for a fact, it's one of the few things I know with all my being sitting here, that I do not have the omniscience, the omnipotence. I am not God. And so if you say like God, do you not understand, folks, that a little bit of knowledge is a really dangerous thing?
Very dangerous.
It's one thing to have a little bit of knowledge and say at the end of the day, I'm ignorant of the highest and the lowest. Like I can't quite understand every leap and bound 10,000 feet above or 10,000 feet below. But then you can, still, it's iterative. So you can still get more knowledge, get more skilled at things, know a little bit more, study more. But if you just know a little bit and you say, well, those crumbs are a belly full, I'm completely right. That's an ignorance that is incredibly dangerous. It's a hubris that invites nemesis and destruction.
You said a statement just now that I thought was interesting. You say, I have the confidence to know that I'm not God and I'm not omniscient. Most people, and I would dare even say not you, actually doesn't think that all the time. And the reason for that is, me personally, I try to. Greg Monson, one of my favorite philosophers, Christian philosophers, had a statement that said that Scripture is authoritative on everything on which it speaks, and it speaks on everything. Whenever I approach a proposition, my first and foremost question is, what has God said about this in one shape or another? Now, if you make a moral decision or a political decision, which are typically moral decisions in general,
right,
what standard are you using to apply to that? Most people trust their gut feeling. They say, what do I feel? Oh, I don't like the way this feels. I have a cultural ingraining or brainwashing, realistically, that leads me to react to a certain thing like this. If you do a reductio on that, where is the source? What standard are you using? Most people are gods unto themselves. They don't have an objective standard that they can apply. That doesn't mean that we're not going to disagree. My best friends who are good, solid Christians in the faith, we disagree about certain things. What we don't disagree on is the fundamental that I just talked about, which is God is God, we are not, we are sinners in need of a savior. That is what it means to be a Christian, to trust in Christ, to be saved from the corruption that tricks you into saying that you are God.
And I hear what you're saying, but I think you can still grow towards that humility, even from a point of view of like, I know I didn't create this world that I'm born into. And I think this world is real. It's not just in my head. And from there, take a figure like Ayn Rand, which you read her and it reads like Aristotle and Aquinas. Except she just denies
the God part.
So I think the humility question is actually what you can get a lot of folks to agree on. And if you start there, I mean, all your work's right there ahead of you. But I think it's putting everybody in the same boat, and you can at least start now making the argument, here's the way we're going to row.
Well, and I mean, that's so many good Christian hymns. Like, they talk extensively about the badness of the individual, like at the cross, such a worm as I. We say these things about ourselves because we accept that we are fallen. That humility, however, cannot be used as an excuse to be like, to have feigned ambiguity and just the relativism that we see so much around us, like, oh well, nobody really knows, and
Right.
just sort of throw your shoulders up. No, you can still be humble in the presence of Almighty God, realizing your fallenness as a human, and still strive with everything in you to ascend to His level of truth, which is what He demands. That's what He says. When Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane and He's praying to the Father, He says, Lord, sanctify them in your truth. Thy word is truth. We have the literal utterances of God available to everyone. Thank you, Protestantism. And we are not failing as a society because we have paid too much attention to what God has said.
Well, we got to hit this break.
Dang.
And we've got a lot of folks calling in now.
Ooh, we lit them up.
1 second, we'll have to go to Michael Cohn as well. But before we hit this break, this part of the program brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. Yeah, we can sell mortgages and talk about the deeper things in life. But at Alabama Home Mortgage, Kim Williams and Madeline Cannon are ready to help you, whether you're looking to buy, especially if you're a first-time home buyer and you need help, especially in this market. They love to sit down, get to know you, know why you're trying to buy a home, what are your goals in owning a home, and they'll steer you on the best possible path, get you the best possible deal. But right now, a lot of folks are looking into refinance deals, whether it's a cash-out refinance, so you're looking to pay off credit card debts or consolidate any sort of debt that you might be having over your head, or maybe you want to reinvest in yourself or your property. Well, Alabama Home Mortgage can help you there. And right now, they can do a special rate refinance when it comes to folks who still are saddled by student loans. If you weren't a winner in Biden's lottery, unconstitutional lottery, you're still saddled by a big amount of student loans. If you have equity built up in your home, Alabama Home Mortgage can help you. So, well, call them today, 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or you can always visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Conservative Justice Sarah Stewart has the experience to lead Alabama's courts. As a tough-on-crime judge, Sarah Stewart presided over hundreds of cases, giving tough sentences to the worst criminals. Republicans can trust Justice Sarah Stewart to defend the Constitution and protect our families. On March 5th, vote conservative Republican Sarah Stewart for Alabama Chief Justice. Paid for by Sarah Stewart Campaign, 2029B, Airport Boulevard, Mobile, Alabama, 36606.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man. Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money?
Well, like most smart folks, we call David Erdit.
You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist?
That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839.
I see.
Yes, he is our preferred money man.
The money man with the money plan.
You've been paying attention.
Well, could you give us those numbers one more time?
334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man.
Oh, what's that?
I'm not an elk.
Not an elk, huh? Well then, pray tell, what are you?
Knights of Columbus.
I am not even going to make a comment.
Well, the baby liked it.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by Clark Heating, Air, and Plumbing. When you call the professionals at Clark with plumbing needs, you can count on quality service, flexible appointments, and affordable pricing. For more information, visit clarkcomfort.com. Better call Clark, 277-2125. Alabama certification number 09098.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. The forecast for the last weekend in February is going to be pretty good, all things considered. Today, we're going to become mostly sunny, and temperatures don't cool down much behind that front, with a high today around 70. Clear, cooler, but not too cold tonight, low 43. Saturday and Sunday, sunshine dominates, and temperatures in the upper 60s for a high on Saturday. Lower 70s, maybe 71 on Sunday. Then big warming next week. Upper 70s Monday with more sun. Near or above 80 perhaps on Tuesday. Could be a midweek severe weather threat. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
At Bobo with Capital Tractor, our showrooms are buzzing with the groundbreaking innovation, power, and reliability of the #1 selling compact tractor in America. No surprise, it's a Kubota. Stop by for a test drive today. Kubota and Capital Tractor, Montgomery, Brundage, and Greenville.
If you're new to Medicare, the ins and outs can be complicated. At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Alabama, our local advisors are here to help answer your questions, and we're here to help you find a Medicare plan that fits your needs. Visit bcbsalmedicare.com or call 1-844-627-5612. Now, Medicare, that's focused on you. Blue Advantage is a PPO with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Blue Advantage PPO depends on contract renewal.
How do you know once you pass that family and friends will get what you promised and that someone won't destroy or replace your will or trust with a fake one? How many copies of your will do you have, and do your loved ones know where it is? Every time you change your will, you have to copy, distribute, and have it notarized. Put a stop to all of this at secureawill.com, where your important documents like last will, trust, or goodbye letter are stored until your passing. Then they send your info to whomever you've requested. You'll be 100% safe with voice biometrics and their new video signature. Visit them at secure-a-will.com.
Hello, Alabama. This is your all-time favorite president, Donald J. Trump. My friend, Congressman Gary Palmer, is running for re-election to Alabama's 6th Congressional District. Gary is an America First conservative who is fighting to secure our border, strengthen our military, and protect and defend our undersea Second Amendment. Alabama, please get out and vote for Gary Palmer for Congress on March 5th. He will not let you down. Thank you.
I'm Gary Palmer, and I approve this message.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Live, local talk. The River Region's most trusted voice for news and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Hey, Eddie, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Mike?
You, like, some people in the comment section are like,
what?
Like Romex Anglers, like he feels bad. He has pity for you.
I've been stuck between two nerds before. This ain't the first time.
Okay.
It gives you time to reevaluate your life and figure out what the hell you're doing.
You never sit on the dock or on the pontoon boat and sip some Busch Light and think about the why and wherefore of the universe?
Yeah, but not with two nerds. No.
Okay.
Hey,
but I love you guys. No, it's not
we love
a bad
you
thing.
too.
It's
one way to treat people.
Let's go to Bill. Hey, Bill.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hey, Bill.
How y'all doing?
All right.
Excellent. Hey, I just wanted to, I want to tell you, guest, thank you for sharing the gospel. I didn't catch your name.
It's Craig. It's lovely to meet you.
Yeah, Chris. Thanks. And I hear you from time to time on the radio, and I really, I'm a bivocational pastor, and I appreciate your perspective. I really do, and the way you present the truth is very receivable. And I just wanted to thank you for that. The only thing I want to add to what you said is we're also accountable to God as His creatures. And I believe what happened in the garden is they got tricked into thinking that God would not hold them accountable to what He said. Remember, did God really say to not eat of the fruit? She said, well, blah, blah, God said, don't eat it, don't touch it, lest you die. Next thing He said, you won't die. He won't hold you accountable. And then He said all those other things, too, about you'll be like God. But that accountability, we're accountable to Him. And nobody wants to be accountable. We want to do whatever we want to do without the consequence. And we just see that running rampant in the world, And even among so-called Christianity, we've rejected the accountability of the Scripture that God has spoken on everything, and He has the final say-so on all matters. And so I appreciate you saying that today.
Amen. Thank you for the kind words, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
272-9228. Let's go to... Oh, yeah, we got Michael Cohen of Cohen's Electronics on the line. Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate it. First, I thought Eddie was flipping me the bird.
No, that's 5 birds.
5 birds. Okay, Michael, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are y'all?
Great. Got a busy show. A lot of folks calling in, but how's it going at Cohen's today?
And it's going great. You know, we talk about confidence a lot, and I used to be amazed. I'm not amazed at it anymore. But we have so many customers that have been so many repeat customers umpteen times that so many of them call in, tell us what they need. If they call for me for an appliance, I can put them with the right salesperson. The salesperson can call them back, and before you know it, we've got a sale written up, and we're going to deliver it tomorrow or the next day. And that to me, that's the stuff that I guess is what we strive for. You know, to where you can make telephone sales instead of everything is like reinventing the rock. You know, from day one. But it's the repeat business that has really been a testament to us trying to do the right thing and taking care of our customers.
Well, and it's true of my family. My grandfather's used y'all, gone to Cohen's. My dad's gone to Cohen's. I'm a customer of Cohen's, very happy one. And there's a reason y'all been around, what, 65 plus years now?
Yeah, 65.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
66 in September.
Wow. That's an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, and you know, and I guess back when my dad started the business, you know, you tried to take everybody at their word, and of course, you know, a lot of that stuff is kind of diminished as far as, you know, being able to have open credit and everything that we used to try to give.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all, you know, our customers are good. We try to be good to our customers, and that's what keeps them coming back. And, you know, we have to be very thankful for that.
So, folks, you can always go to thinkcohens.com or just call them direct. The phone line still works, 277-8890, or stop by the Boulevard, 2515 Eastern Boulevard, open 9 to 6 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. And appreciate it as always, Michael.
Thank you. Y'all have a good weekend.
You too, Michael.
And Dwayne, you can call back if you like, but David, we got you on the line. How you doing?
Hey, David.
Hey, guys. You know that there's a lot of forces obviously outside the church trying to influence the church, but you know, within the church itself, you have, you know, the theology of higher criticisms, which came out of Germany and
unfortunately
made it over to the U.S. Yeah, unfortunately. But even here in the U.S., and I can't remember the individual's name that started the Kingdom Now theology back in the 50s. And, of course, probably the most famous minister that preached that was Robert Schuller. And, you know, I actually attended a church for a short time that, you know, held that belief back in the 80s. And I was shocked when they would sing Amazing Grace, and they would sing it that saves someone like me rather than a wretch, because they believe that a human being is someone of worth and dignity that Christ came to die for because we were worthy of dying for, which is kind of a sick way of looking at it.
Very sick. Very sick.
Well, and it's a shame that there are some forums, and in a second I'll play a clip from one of the forums that's been talking about this in a great way, but not enough, in my humble opinion, and hopefully we can do our small part here to just get the conversation going and minds working, even if folks don't call in. But I appreciate you sharing that, David.
Yes,
really do.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.
Take care, Dave.
And well, yeah, before we hit the top hour break, I was looking for this quote so I could just read it, but I think this will suffice. This is a conversation that was between a guy named Tom Holland. He wrote a book called Dominion, and it's about the history of Christianity. Now, Holland's secular, I guess.
Yeah, he's an agnostic, pretty much.
And he noticed as he was doing all this Roman and Greek history that this thing called Christianity was popping out. His book hit me right between the eyes. I think it's a brilliant book. Everybody should read it. It's how Christianity has shaped the West. But he's also sitting down with Stephen Meyer. He's an astrophysicist, a PhD, and philosopher. I
Yes.
believe also a PhD philosopher.
Darwin's Doubt, great book.
And he is very much making the arguments for intelligent design. The other guy sitting at this panel is Douglas Murray, who I believe is still an atheist, but the way he's been writing and speaking lately, it ain't like the atheism you saw with Christopher Hitchens and Dawkins. The Dawkins, I saw an interview the other day. He hasn't moved at all, and maybe that's to his credit, but not in a good way.
Nope.
But Douglas Murray, this is Peter Robinson's show, Uncommon Knowledge, from the Hoover Institution. And this is a quote about, from Roger Scruton, one of the guys who really influenced Douglas Murray, great British conservative writer. And it talks about anybody who goes through life with open mind and heart will encounter moments that are saturated with meaning. But I'm not going to read it. I'll just play the tape.
But whose meaning cannot be put into words. These moments are precious to us. When they occur, it is as though, on the winding, ill-lit stairway of our life, we suddenly come across a window through which we catch sight of another and brighter world.
Yes.
A world to which we belong, but which we cannot enter. There are many who would dismiss this world as an unscientific fiction. I am not alone in thinking that it is real and important.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. The Biden administration expanding sanctions against Russia, adding over 600 people and firms in the largest installment of penalties since the invasion of Ukraine. The European Union also imposing sanctions on several foreign companies accused of aiding Russia's war effort. Louisiana, one step closer to joining the list of states that allow people to carry concealed guns without a permit. The Intuitive Machines Company reports it's communicating with its lunar lander. It's the first U.S. spacecraft to descend to the lunar surface in more than 50 years. A manned space mission could come as early as 2026. On Wall Street, the Dow ahead 32 points, the NASDAQ now losing 38. This is SRN News.
The new FedNow system is paving the way for the digital dollar. It grants the government unprecedented access to your financial transactions. This isn't just an invasion of privacy, it's a direct assault on your liberty and hard-earned money. It's another reason why I recommend physical gold IRAs from the Birch Gold Group. I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst and a podcaster with nearly 25 million downloads to people just like you who cherish their financial independence. A precious metals IRA can help you avoid the scrutiny of Big Brother while also preserving your retirement savings through almost anything, including economic crashes, political instability, and even hyperinflation. To find out more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word FAITH to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and see how a gold IRA can help you. Text FAITH to 989898. Remember, there's no strings attached. Text FAITH to the number 989898 right now, and I pray you're blessed with continued prosperity.
The Johnny Adams Law Firm. They want you to stay safe on the road. Please don't text and drive. Get to your destination safely. Your family and friends will thank you. From the Johnny Adams Law Firm.
Well, hi, everybody. The forecast for the last weekend in February is going to be pretty good, all things considered. Today, we're going to become mostly sunny, and temperatures don't cool down much behind that front, with a high today around 70. Clear, cooler, but not too cold tonight, low 43. Saturday and Sunday, sunshine dominates, and temperatures in the upper 60s for a high on Saturday, lower 70s, maybe 71 on Sunday. Then big warming next week, upper 70s Monday with more sun, near or above 80 perhaps on Tuesday. Could be a midweek severe weather threat. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
At ASE Credit Union, financing your next adventure is easier than ever with rates as low as 5.25%. Apply online or visit your local branch today. Federally insured by the NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender.
ASE Credit Union, your life, your goals, your ASE.
1819 News.
A bill has passed the Alabama Senate despite a filibuster conducted by Democrats. That bill bans taxpayer money from being used to create or implement diversity, equity, and inclusion programs within state agencies or public institutions of education. The bill prohibits the requirement of students or employees to receive the DEI training since it's being classified as a divisive concept. The bill's sponsor, State Senator Will Barfoot, says the legislation is to build bridges to celebrate what people have in common rather than create silos for people according to their race, religion, or sex. State Senate President Greg Reed is supporting the bill, saying we have more that unites us than divides us. On the other hand, Senate Minority Leader Bobby Singleton opposed the bill, saying that despite the fact that it passed, he still plans to stay woke. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Brian Dawson here, CEO of 1819 News. I'm also the host of 1819 News, the podcast, and we'd love for you to join us by listening to our weekly show on all the top podcast apps, both in audio and video format. At 1819 News, the podcast, we are in pursuit of a free and flourishing Alabama. Every week, we're having important conversations with guests from across this great state, all with the goal of equipping Alabamians to be in pursuit of a free and flourishing Alabama with us. New episodes are released weekly. I hope you'll join us.
Eli Gold says he will become the radio voice for the Nashville Cats, which is a team that is part of the Arena Football League. Gold was the voice for that league years ago and says he loves the product that is coming from Arena Football. Gold has also been the voice of the Crimson Tide football team for 36 years, but recently did not have his contract renewed for this upcoming fall. Instead, Chris Stewart will step in as the voice for the Crimson Tide. 70-year-old Gold says rumors that he was retiring are false. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
I'm Republican Jacqueline Tomlinson. You've heard me here on the Greg Budell Show quite a bit over the years. Running for office is the last thing I thought I'd do, but when your community calls, you answer. With more than 15 years of family law experience, I've helped local families through some of their toughest times. And so, I'm asking for your vote in the Republican primary on Tuesday, March 5th for Circuit Judge. Vote for my mommy! Paid for by the Tomlinson Campaign, P.O. Box 821, Wetumpka, Alabama, 36092.
Make 2024 the year you break away from the chain stores and join us here at Adams Drugs. We value your business and want to provide you the best customer service at the lowest possible price. We've been serving up excellent customer service here in the River region for over 62 years.
I made the swap to Adams Drugs and I couldn't be happier. Having a job and then getting 3 kids to all of their activities keeps me busy. I don't have an hour to waste waiting on a prescription. At Adams, they know me and my family. I get in and out in minutes, and when I can't get by Adams, they'll bring the prescription right to my door.
What are you waiting for? Come in to Adams Drugs and let us earn your business. Our friendly and personal staff will talk with you and answer any questions you may have about your prescriptions. Your satisfaction is our number one goal. Visit us at adamsdrugs.net for the location nearest to you. Adams Drugs is your local independent Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Final hour of News and Views on a Friday. I'm Joey. He's Eddie.
Hey, Joey.
And he's Craig.
Yes, I am.
And, well, by the way, sometimes when I play these songs that, when we're using this mostly my stuff so we don't get, at this point, hit on the stream. I wish I could play licensed music. But, that song, I love how music can take you back to, like, a moment. Like it just plays with memory. Like I remember making that one afternoon. I'm like, man, what a great afternoon. Now, and it's just, because you can't always be up, but there's something about music that keeps you in the slipstream. Now we're talking off mic about entertainment, and I don't know how many folks out there in our listening audience know who Shane Gillis is. But if we had to tell the story of Shane Gillis, he's going to be hosting Saturday Night Live, and I hadn't watched SNL in years. It's been forever. I had no interest. I've seen a couple of like clips of some skits.
Chappelle.
Saw Chappelle's monologue. Nate Bargatze had some pretty good stuff. But Shane Gillis will be hosting SNL. But Shane, how would you kind of tell the story, Eddie? If Shane Gillis is brought up, how would you go about it?
Oh, to me, it's hysterical. I mean, I went and saw him here in Montgomery. But as far as the SNL deal, he got canceled before he ever got started.
Right. Apparently, he is making his way up in comedy. And like he went to West Point and he quit after a week or something.
He was there a week. And he'll even tell you, people act like he was there for a career. He's like, dude, I was there for a week. And I begged my parents to let me come home every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So he kept failing out of school, failing at jobs. So he tried comedy and he really was good and is good.
He is really good.
Like not just stand up, but also skits. And he's been doing a lot of online skits. Gillian Keeves, I think, is the YouTube channel.
He gets it.
And so SNL, he gets on SNL's radar. And like he's in, folks. And by in, I mean he's met with Lorne Michaels. The contract is signed. They are going to announce it tomorrow.
Actually, it happened this summer. This summer is when they actually gave him the contract.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, after it's announced that he's going to be the new cast member on SNL, he's going about his day. And, no phone service on the subway train.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And so he's going to do a stand-up set somewhere in New York City. And when he gets out of the subway, he's seeing his phone blow up with all these people trying to get in touch with him. What do you have to say about teams he's reporting? What do you have to say about this?
Yeah.
So after he's announced to be on SNL, somebody goes through his old podcast episodes. Actually, I think it was just like the first few minutes
It
of
wouldn't
one.
take, it took all 10 minutes.
And Shane makes all sorts of ridiculous, over-the-top racial jokes. It's actually his thing to kind of play with stereotypes and around race and all sorts of stuff. And he does it, I think, brilliantly.
Very well.
He's very, very funny. But they took, of course, a short clip out of context. Why did y'all hire this racist SNL? And so SNL had to fire him. And to Lorne Michaels' credit, Lorne still paid him for his one-year contract and was really eaten up about having to do it, but his hand was kind of forced by corporate. So fast forward a few years later, and you think, okay, this upstart comedian who's going to be on SNL, a great cast member, in the same vein as, Chevy Chase, John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, Chris Farley, Mike Myers, Will Ferrell, like all these names folks, and it's all SNL. But you think, okay, you get kicked off before you even start, this guy's done. Good luck in stand-up comedy, buddy. Well, fast forward a few years later, Shane Gillis is now one of the biggest stand-ups in the country.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and maybe not as big as Chappelle or Rogan and these sorts of things.
He's up there.
But he's
up there.
great. And he's really just funny. He's brilliantly funny. Well, now SNL has relented. And Shane Gillis, who was unceremoniously kicked out of SNL before he even started, he will be hosting the show. And so people are abuzz with this idea of, what's he going to say in the opening monologue? Now, people are wondering, is he going to pull a Norm Macdonald? And what do I mean by that? Do y'all remember when Norm got fired from SNL?
Yeah, I remember when he was doing the news on SNL, and they kept telling him, stop or we're going to fire you.
Right. Well, and he kept going after OJ.
OJ.
Right. And Bob or Ohlmeyer was the OJ's friend, good friend.
Good buddy.
And Norm being Norm, he's like, I don't care.
Yep.
And so he just kept going hard in the paint. They fire him.
Yep.
A year later, he's invited back to host. He's like, I thought it'd be funny, to go back. And I think I'm not going to play it because we'll hit on the stream playing anything by NBC will get you blocked. But he essentially says, well, either, they told me when they fired me, you're not funny. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not funny. But now I'm hosting. So either I've got funny all of a sudden, or this show sucks. Is in the monologue. So you got to wonder, is Shane going to have some barbs? And it's live. It truly is live. One of the last things in entertainment live like that. You got to wonder what this guy's going to do. I mean, what would y'all do if you were in that situation?
I wouldn't show up.
You wouldn't even take the gig.
Would you take?
No, I would tell them I was going to take the gig, and
Yeah.
whenever it's time to go out there and do my monologue, I'd be like deuces and leave.
But you wouldn't do the monologue then leave, or you just leave?
Well, if I do the monologue, that's actually a good point. You could do a monologue that they just couldn't air on
Well, and
TV.
so you control the story at that point.
Yeah.
If you just leave before saying anything, oh, coward, or they can say whatever they want.
If I was him, I would get up there and do the most brazenly offensive monologue
So they
I
just
could
turn the cameras off?
possibly fathom until they turn the cameras off, and then I'd say deuces.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
That's
yeah.
what would you do, Eddie?
I'd be the corporate guy. He's fixing to get paid.
Yeah, big time.
And then maybe a skit on down the line on the show that's going to be coming up, 10, 15 minutes later. Yeah, I'd probably show my butt right then. But he's fixing to get paid.
He doesn't need the money.
No, he doesn't. But this right here, I hate saying it, but he's a heck of an actor. And this right here is going to lean and give him a lot of credit in the acting. I hate it. But if you watch
Yeah,
his
it's true.
skits,
He is a good
hell of an
actor.
actor.
Yeah, but he has a very limited scope as far as.
Oh yeah,
an
but he's
actor,
got those 5 or 6 characters dialed in.
Right.
His skit show was Gillian Keys.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
hysterical.
He has 1 or 2 that are just.
Well, he'll come on with Rogan. Rogan and a couple other guys will come on, and they'll get having a few toasty beers, and dude, they all just can't stop laughing at him. I mean, he just takes over the show. It's
By the
hysterical.
way, his constitution and his ability to handle alcohol is unreal.
Yeah, it is.
Coming from someone who
Unreal.
who had a legendary constitution myself, I was impressed.
He's that guy when everybody else is passed out. He's
Yeah.
still drinking, going, "What's wrong with you guys?"
Yeah, he was on one with a comedian Ari Shafir,
That's
and he
him.
was, and
Yeah.
he was going beer for beer with
Yeah,
him. Ari ended up passed out by the end of the show, and that evening Shane Gillis does another podcast, and he's still drinking on that podcast. He's impressive.
Well, and this just for those who don't know who aren't our age. Like I don't watch SNL. I don't really
couldn't
watch
tell you last
anything
time
on
I
network
watched it.
TV.
Yeah.
I watch Rogan, of course, but that's more guest specific. I don't watch him every episode by any means. They're too long, and it's like I'm not going to spend every night watching one of those
Check the
things.
clips.
But Rogan for sure. Flagrant's a great hangout guy podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew Schultz's podcast is fantastic. Kill Tony.
Kill Tony's great.
Oh,
That's the whole reason I want to go to Austin. I want to go to a Kill Tony set. I think it's
Folks who don't know the premise of that, it's essentially like a panel of established comedians, sometimes very famous
sometimes
ones.
Dr. Phil.
Or the guy, there's a comedian who calls himself Dr. Phil, impersonates Dr. Phil, and then he's also, he's very, very funny.
It's hysterical.
Very funny. I think even Dr. Phil finds him hilarious.
They had Ric Flair as a host.
Yeah, he was on there too one night. Yeah.
And so what happens is all these comedians are waiting outside or in the upstairs room, and they've all put their name in a bucket or a name in the hat. It's drawn out randomly. You have a minute to do stand up. And some of them are really talented people that are up and comers. Some are folks who just want to see what they can do on stage. And then they'll roast them after their 1 minute.
Several of them, though, have become, they've got known that way.
Yeah.
And there's a whole
David
Kill Tony,
Lucas,
Yeah, there
for
you go. There's a
instance.
whole Kill Tony tour just from those guys. Yeah, Lucas is really good.
And David Lucas just got in trouble because he made jokes about George Floyd and
He's like he told an angry black audience that was already leaving because of his George Floyd
That's
joke
him.
that he loved Kyle Rittenhouse. It was the funniest thing I've seen all week.
Oh, and David Lucas is this massively obese black guy, so him and Tony Hinchcliffe are constantly I'm amazed you still have feet.
Well,
last time I saw you,
He's got a show on YouTube too, where like a podcast type show where he takes people fishing.
He took Ron White fishing.
Yeah, he just
Well,
goes
that's
fishing.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's hysterical. It's a great concept.
Well, and that's what's so cool about this day and age is that all these great personalities who have developed their craft, they now have a space where it's not controlled by the same folks that tried to cancel Shane Gillis. It's not controlled by all these gatekeepers. It's not just in politics, folks. It's also in entertainment. And I think that's huge for the culture. You might have somebody, say on the comedy scene, that may listen to the conversation we had last hour.
Yeah.
And be like, well, not for me, but they're used to their freedom. So when they see the same, say, Eye of Sauron or the same, corporate gatekeepers that we do, we're at least all kind of on the same team in a certain way, to a certain degree. Everybody starts to, you just get used to not having to listen to those folks, the elite. You can sort of put together a political coalition while you figure out the deeper things. And I think that's exactly what's happening with the culture. That's why Donald Trump got elected the first time. It's why the powers that be freaked out after that election, have now built this massive misinformation infrastructure to try to control the conversation. Why they're so pissed at Elon Musk, because Musk is continuing that revolution in communication. So where does this all go? I don't know, but it's fun to watch, even though sometimes it is a little bit frustrating. 272-9228.
So what happens if he gets canceled again?
Impossible.
Sure.
It's impossible.
Inconceivable.
The people that love him because he got canceled.
Yes.
Well, just like Rogan, they tried to cancel Rogan. And
Right. Failed.
the people that surround Rogan like cancel him. I don't care. It's not going to affect the way I still love this guy. I'm still going to promote him for everything he's got. So go ahead and do your canceling.
Right.
Some people are uncancelable once they've entered that space. Shane Gillis is one of them. Rogan is obviously one of them. Tim Dillon is another one.
Yeah.
Tim Dillon's great.
I think he's tried to cancel himself.
Tim Dillon's amazing.
He is testing his gay privilege every day.
Every
It's
day.
Amazing.
Every day.
The most absurd things.
He's like for those who don't know, he's like a Long Island gay Alex Jones.
Yeah.
And that he's all over the top. His show is a rant show like Alex Jones, and it's hilarious. He's absolutely he's the perfect send up after a serious conversation.
But he can have a serious conversation.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is
Oh,
hilarious.
yeah. Sharp as he can be.
He did one about Israel and Palestine where he's like, these two people think of each other as less than human, but I think of them both as less than human because I'm a white Christian man and we are the ones who win.
I was about to bring that.
I know. I sent that to my buddy, and I was just laughing hysterically.
Because I was about to bring that up because all week we were covering that when this October 7th happens, and it's awful and it's intense and all the passions, rightfully so, just of all the, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And so to hear a guy make me laugh from my gut about that.
Yeah.
And
he was
what
like,
a genius.
let's get the Christians in there and get them all out.
Right.
Get them all out.
Well, then he goes on to say something like, get my aunt and uncle from Long Island to come here and gentrify the place.
They're going to bring churros back to the Holy Land.
Oh
man,
there's so much in the new media that makes me happy. It makes me think we're going to win. Who's we? What does winning exactly look like? Changes, I guess, day to day. But
yeah.
I think we are winning, folks, and we're going to. 272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services.
Oh, yeah.
Ashley has put together a fantastic team there at Pest Pro
Super
Services,
team, man.
folks. It's one thing for a small business to grow and be successful, but out of COVID, to grow and be as successful as Pest Pro Services, it really speaks to Ashley's expertise, how well she works with people, and gives back to the local community, because they've been growing leaps and bounds over the last 3-4 years.
Continue to grow.
And it's wonderful to watch. And at Pest Pro Services, what they can help you with, especially you should be thinking about it now as things warm up and all the moisture that's recently hit the ground, is termites. Or fire ants.
Boy, they're coming.
Or, you still have the silverfish thing?
Silverfish, man. Oh, let me tell you this story. I went to a house the other day to show a house. This is why you should have someone like Ashley. We're looking at the house, nice house, vacant house. Open the door and a roach crawls out.
German cockroach?
Yep. So that buyer looked at me and said, we're out.
Yeah.
We're out. And you can't blame them.
Right.
Can't blame them. And I immediately could tell they did not have Pest Pro Services.
And that's why you got to call them up. And if you ask, you can get a free termite inspection.
This is the time of year to get it, folks.
And estimate.
Yep.
And homeowners insurance ain't going to cover termite damage.
Nope.
So you might as well pay for the treatment. That's a lot less expensive than once they start tearing up your home. And Pest Pro can even lay down bait. So they'll know when the termites are getting close. They'll hit that bait first. Pest Pro come out, take care of them. And after working with them, you're going to want to make them, maybe you already do, your everyday pest control company. 265-9990. That's 265-9990. Or you can always go to ppsriverregion.com or just search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces. When you want to know, call a pro. Pest Pro Services. And be sure to tell Ashley and that great team that Joey and Eddie from News and Views, those fellas on the radio, sent you. We'll be right back.
Joey Clark.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, But whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Hey there, River Region area. Dawson Electric hopes you had an amazing Christmas and a fantastic New Year. As we step into 2024, it's time to tackle those resolutions and make sure your home or business is in tip-top shape. And for all your electrical needs, there's one name you can trust, Dawson Electric. Whether you're planning a remodel, constructing a new home, or require service for your existing electrical systems, Dawson Electric has got you covered. Need emergency generators installed? Looking to enhance your outdoor space with stunning landscape lighting? Dawson Electric is the answer. We do it all for homes and commercial spaces alike. For more information, you can find us on Facebook. Search for Dawson Electric Company, LLC. Hit the like button and stay connected with us. We're happy to speak with you at any time. Just call 334-270-8024. Say it with me. That's 334-270-8024. For all your electrical service needs for home or business, call us at Dawson Electric. Dawson Electric, lighting up your world.
Don't settle for what Uncle Sam wants to give you. Get to Toyota of Montgomery today, where we'll double your tax refund. This month only, Toyota of Montgomery will double your money. If you have a $1,000 refund, we'll double it to $2,000. $2,000 is now $4,000. $5,000 is now up to $10,000. It gets even better because Toyota of Montgomery has incredible incentives on our new inventory, like the new 2024 Toyota Camry LE, now only $299 a month, or the best-selling new 2024 RAV4 LE. It's only $349 a month. That's double your refund money up to $10,000 plus save on new Toyotas and more for your trade. Get to Toyota of Montgomery online at toyotamontgomery.com. Part of the Sutherland Automotive Group. Dealer will match tax refund after $5,000 from dealer discount off TSRP. Example, 2024 Toyota Sequoia Hybrid Capstone 4-wheel drive in-transit vehicle. TSRP $84,172. Camry MSRP $30,958. RAV4 MSRP $28,214. 12,000 miles per year for 39 months with 3638 due at signing. $0 security deposit with approved credit on sealed new Toyota purchases. Select new Toyota purchases plus taxes, tag, title, and $999. Offers end 2/29/2024.
Conservative Justice Sarah Stewart has the experience to lead Alabama's courts. As a tough-on-crime judge, Sarah Stewart presided over hundreds of cases, giving tough sentences to the worst criminals. Republicans can trust Justice Sarah Stewart to defend the Constitution and protect our families. On March 5th, vote conservative Republican Sarah Stewart for Alabama Chief Justice. Paid for by Sarah Stewart Campaign, 2029B, Airport Boulevard, Mobile, Alabama, 36606.
Hey folks, this is Tammy Burkhalter at Prattville Farm Center, and did you know there's all kind of dogs that we can feed? Like leave a dog, hot dog, creek dog, swimming dog, hunting dog, shaggy dog, lap dog, window dog, riding dog, hiding dogs, puppy dog, standing dog, hat dog, cozy dog, family dog, even a dancing dog, man. So come see us at 1154 South Memorial Drive in Prattville, and we can even feed your kitty cat too.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
The Health and Wealth Show. The Health and Wealth Show. The show so nice, we said it twice. Weekday evenings at 6 on News Talk 93.1 WACV. The Health.
Break it up, son. Joke's over, hey?
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
The River Region's News Talk Station. News Talk 93.1 WACV. News Talk 93.1.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. To do some views in the afternoon, I'm your host, Joey Clark. Eddie Bader and Craig Monger in the house.
This is groovy, man.
Yeah, and that was another good afternoon. No, that was literally one of program a drum beat, play a bass line, play a guitar line, keep just layering.
It's a fun time.
It is a good time.
And, well, based on our conversation earlier, is it me bringing up the question over times is what does it mean to be a Christian? Does that make me a Christian nationalist? I don't think it does.
I'm a Christian nationalist.
Well, what about citing the Declaration of Independence?
Yeah.
Since you are one, does that make one a Christian nationalist?
I would definitely say so. I mean, in order to be an elected official, you had to be, in all of the colonies, you had to be a baptized member of a church.
Well, this is an interesting clip, short one from MSNBC, and this is what I mean. The Democrats have been taken over by witches and warlocks. There are a lot of witches. And well, let's listen in.
The one thing that unites all of them, because there's many different groups orbiting Trump, but the thing that unites them as Christian nationalists, not Christians, by the way, because Christian nationalists is very different, is that they believe that our rights as Americans, as all human beings, don't come from any earthly authority. They don't come from Congress. They don't come from the Supreme Court. They come from God. The one thing that...
Really? So... Wait, like Judge Napolitano, who's the closest thing to an anarchist but still loves the Constitution, is now a Christian nationalist? Like, there are a lot of folks who would make the argument that, yeah, your rights, like a lot of things, like, say, the Stephen Meyer arguments, when you look at the constants in mathematics that help us understand the universe, like things that exist prior to the human mind, that the human mind must discover.
Like logic?
Yeah.
Like morality,
right?
That would exist apart from human minds.
Well, and if her belief is that your rights come from earthly authorities, that scares the crap out of me.
And nobody's ever. This is the problem with these witches. They hang out with other witches and they do witchy things, typically overly medicated witchy things, and they never once have interesting conversations with people that tell them that they just said a stupid thing. And what you just said is a stupid thing. So let's take the inverse. Like what? So they don't come from an external authority. All right, where do they come from? The state. Which state? So your rights wouldn't have existed before 1776. Therefore, what were you fighting for in 1776? Every single person who voted to be independent from Great Britain believed that they had rights given to them by their creator that were being trampled on by the Empire of Great Britain. So where do they come from? From whence comes these rights? The right to breathe air, the right to eat food, the right to move freely. Where does that come from?
Right.
Does it come from the person with the biggest stick?
Because that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. It's an illogical position.
Right. And it just, like, let me hear this again. Because this is what makes one a Christian nationalist?
Unites all of them, because there's many different groups orbiting Trump. But the thing that unites them as Christian nationalists, not Christians, by the way, because Christian nationalists is very different, is that they believe that our rights as Americans, as all human beings, don't come from any earthly authority. They don't come from Congress. They don't come from the Supreme Court. They come from God.
Okay. So the young woman, let's say, in some Arabic country, the girl who has a particular piece of her anatomy cut off when she's a young girl that should not. Does she have a right to that anatomy? Because her state definitely says that she apparently doesn't. Where do her rights come from? Does she have a right to maintain? I'm not going to name that piece of anatomy because I'm not sure if it's radio.
What about the Uyghurs in China?
Yeah.
Do they not have a right to be unmolested by the earthly authorities of the Chinese Communist Party?
I witnessed a Uyghur get beaten, I'm pretty sure, to death. I don't know. I kept moving. I watched that with my own eyes growing up. Does he have a right not to be beaten to death on a sidewalk because the Chinese Gestapo didn't think that he should have been on that particular street corner? This is an impossibly stupid thing to say, and these impossibly stupid people spend their time with other impossibly stupid people, and they never once question the fundamental presuppositions of their very existence.
Well, and then how would she explain the Ninth Amendment? How would she explain, like in the First Amendment, the freedom of speech? The key word there is the, the. Because it suggests that these rights precede any government.
Same with the Second Amendment.
Right.
The right to bear arms shall not be infringed.
Right. And it was the whole idea of, yes, natural rights that we glean through reliance on revelation and through our reason. This is how we've come to these self-evident truths. And so this brings me to my next question. I'm sure, and I respect the guy a lot, but I'm sure you've seen James Lindsay on the Twitter talking about how Christian nationalism, it's a psyop. And I think he actually has a fairly nuanced point of view on this. But what do you think of that idea? Because you just heard it. That it makes me think Lindsay is right hearing that sort of BS propaganda on MSNBC.
Well, the position of him is actually a position of a lot of people in Christendom who oppose Christian nationalism. They say that it's an overly broad term that's going to be used to weaponize the entire Christian faith if you latch yourself onto it. Now, in my opinion, that is a position of cowardice. That is a position of capitulation. You don't get to determine my language. You don't get to determine what meaning is. And I think he might actually, I think he has the cart before the horse here, because I think there's a lot of people that are realizing, hey, the modern day American state and the ideas that founded the American state are now in contradiction with one another. So we need to return to a place where Holy Writ has some sort of effect on the legal system, on our laws, on how we determine morality and right and wrong. And now it's just being used as a billy club by vapid morons to try to discount what people have to say.
Well, and like in my conversation with you and many others, also doesn't your belief, your faith lead you to, in one respect, subsidiarity? Like the idea of local governance. Like, like talking to you and on any particular issue, you tend to be a pretty, for lack of a better word, libertarian guy.
Yeah, I mean, I would describe myself more of an anarchist simply because I do not believe, I believe that communities should be able to formulate themselves around common ideas and a covenant, if you will, that they choose for themselves. Now, that being said, that does not mean that I believe that it should be a free-for-all. You can't murder, you can't rape. Right. Again, those are presuppositions that you cannot arrive at from a naturalistic position. If we are simply the randomized actions of microbes throughout billions of years, there is no inherent moral value. Therefore, my position of, hey, I want to rape is equally as viable as your position to not want to be raped, but I'm bigger than you, so I win.
Right. Might makes right is what so many of the, especially the government arguments come down to.
Yeah, and she doesn't realize that that's exactly what she's arguing for. The victor gets to determine what is right and what is wrong. Now, she'll never be able to be consistent with that. If the state tomorrow decided that she couldn't vote, or she couldn't drive, or that, she had to, have some sort of Handmaid's Tale situation, she would immediately protest and be like, no, I have a right. You have a right? Since when? Says who?
And no, but back to this whole PSYOP conversation. I appreciate what you said about you don't want to be in a position of cowardice. People don't get to define your language. But what if they do have a bigger megaphone than you and are able to sway impressionable minds using and perverting and abusing the words you might have a completely different understanding of?
Well, I mean, the solution to bad speech is more speech. I mean, you can't help, very much relevant to the conversation that we had before about, which denomination is right. Listen, the Mormons have, they carry around a King James Bible with them, along with the Pearl of Great Price, the Book of Mormon, and sometimes the Doctrine and Covenants. The Bible, the King James Bible that they carry along, says, I think around 1,800 times that there is only one God. That God, before me there was no God formed, nor shall there be any after me. And yet their theology says that God was once a man and that they themselves can become gods. You're never going to be able to stop people from diluting and manipulating words to their own ends. You physically can't stop it, but that doesn't change the fundamental message that you're giving and your right to determine your meaning by what you have to say. The principles for a Christian nationalist is something that everyone understood in the history of Christendom up until this point, and that's actually found in the book of the Psalms, which is, "Blessed is the nation whose God is Yahweh." It's a fundamental principle. It's like, all right, can a nation have a God, and can that religion inform the state without the state and the religion becoming the same entity?
Yeah.
And I believe that they very much can and should.
Right.
Now, if that makes me a Christian nationalist, then a Christian nationalist be I. But I would rather take my God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, over the omnibus nonsense warlord God of the state. And I'll have that argument with anyone, any detractor, any antagonist, anytime, any day, any place.
Well said. In fact, we got to hit a break now. But first, again, this part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And, guys, you don't need to put off if you're feeling bad. I get it. I don't like going to the doctor either. You're like that, Eddie, right?
Oh,
You're like, I'm a man. I can.
man.
Are you that way, Craig? I'm a man. I can take it.
I'm a man.
I don't need to go to the doctor.
I'm a big boy.
Right,
Mom.
Yeah, but dudes, if you are actually feeling awful all the long day, and I don't just mean like physically, like you're tired and worn out. Maybe you're not sleeping well. Maybe you're like mentally, you're lacking motivation. You're lacking drive, including sex drive. You're kind of walking through life in a fog. Well, knowing whether you have low T is huge in combating some of these issues. And, urologists recently suggested men should start getting their T checked even at the age of 18, just part of an annual health checkup, because it is happening to a lot of guys younger and younger, which means there are a lot of men who are feeling these symptoms, feeling bad, and yet they don't understand that low T is probably the underlying cause. And low T affects quality of life big time, fellas. So the providers at Montgomery Men's Health can help you. They'll conduct a testosterone-focused lab workup plus a consultation for only $99. And they have treatments there, low T treatments that can truly change lives. Men can experience higher energy, better gains at the gym. Brother. That's right, brother. Better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism. You usually even notice an increased sex drive.
Nothing wrong with that.
You're right. You can actually book the same day that you call, guys. Guys, it's time to feel amazing and hit your goals this year. Call Montgomery Men's Health at 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to montgomerymenshealth.com to book your appointment today. Be sure to tell them that Joey fellow on the radio sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. For many years, my team and I have worked diligently to provide our veterans with top-notch service, as it is our honor to serve those who have served us in the armed forces. Madeline and I are certified veteran lending specialists. Nationwide, there are over 22 million veterans that qualify to purchase a home through the VA loan program. Yet less than 2 million of them currently have a VA home loan. Many lenders do not keep up with the ever-changing guidelines and benefits of the VA loan program. They are intimidated by the program, resulting in many veterans not obtaining VA loans. This is unacceptable. The VA home loan program offers service members and veterans with 100% financing. You've already paid your down payment. If you are currently serving or have honorably discharged, we would love an opportunity to discuss how the VA program can serve you. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223 or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Thank you for your service. NMLS 1586-36-8, Equal Housing Lender.
What are you planning on using your tax refund on? With Southern Steel's strong, durable, and built-to-last metal structures, you can build anything from towering warehouses, pole barns, manufactured metal roof panels, or even a barn dominium. Save time and money with a quick turnaround and enjoy unmatched protection against the elements. Whether you're a business owner seeking efficiency or a homeowner looking for peace of mind, choose Southern Steel for a lifetime of security. Trust in quality. Visit them today and build your dreams in steel. 1295 North McDonough Street, 240-2223.
This is Eddie Bader from eXp Realty. You know me from co-hosting News and Views with Joey Clark for the past several years. Are you looking for a real estate agent that will go above and beyond to help you find your dream home? Look no further than Hannah Grantham and myself. Hannah and I have the knowledge and experience in the Tri-County area to guide you through the home buying process as easy and smooth as possible. Our attention to detail and dedication to our clients ensures that you will always receive the highest level of service. Don't settle for anything less than the best. Call Hannah and Eddie today, 334-368-6358.
Want to play angry and upset at my position, and I usually flip that switch 10 minutes before the game. I'll say my prayer, and after that it's just I see red for the next 3 hours.
That was Tamaje Porter. He and Chancellor Moody are preparing to try out for the NFL. Listen to What's Working Saturday noon or find us online at whatsworkingcam.com.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Rich Thomas weather brought to you by H&H Carpets, where you will find a complete line of Mohawk carpet with exceptionally clean, smart strand fiber. It's always available and ready to be installed. H&H Carpets, across from Walmart on the Atlanta Highway.
Well, hi, everybody. I think you're going to love the forecast for this last weekend in February. Tonight, we cooled down, but not much. Overnight low temperature down to 43 with mostly clear skies. Plenty of sunshine over the weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, with Saturday's high in the upper 60s. We'll go up to about 71 on Sunday. Then big warming next week. Monday's high in the upper 70s will be near 80 or maybe above, perhaps, on Tuesday. And we may have to pay a price for that, maybe a severe weather threat middle of next week. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
John Bobo with Capital Tractor. Together we have hauled it, lifted it, dug it, and mowed it. Season after season, to every customer who has walked through our doors, thank you for trusting Capital Tractor and Kubota. Kubota and Capital Tractor, Montgomery, Brundage, and Greenville.
Live local talk, the River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. 272-9228. Do you want to get in before we close up today? And there's a new write-up on 1819 News. I think it came out just this hour. Saying response to IVF embryo Supreme Court ruling will require constitutional amendment, pro-life attorney says. Now, at least 2 bills have been drafted or filed by state legislators this week in response to an Alabama Supreme Court ruling that an embryo created through in vitro fertilization is a child protected by Alabama's Wrongful Death Act and the Alabama Constitution. So, in the case originating from Mobile, the Supreme Court held in a 7-2 decision that parents of frozen embryos killed at an IVF clinic when an intruder tampered with an IVF freezer may proceed with a wrongful death lawsuit against the clinic for alleged negligence. The court also held that the Alabama Constitution Sanctity of Life Amendment, ratified by Alabama voters and made law in 2018, would require the court to interpret the law in favor of protecting the unborn. Alabama's Sanctity of Life Amendment declares in the state constitution that it is, quote, the public policy of this state to recognize and support the sanctity of unborn life and the rights of unborn children, including the right to life. In response to the decision, House Minority Leader Anthony Daniels filed a bill on Thursday that states, quote, any fertilized human egg or human embryo that exists outside of a human uterus is not considered an unborn child or human being for any purpose under state law. It makes clear that until a fertilized embryo is inside a uterus, it's not a child, though HB 31, I seek to provide women access to reproductive health care they need and deserve, Daniel said in an email to supporters of his congressional campaign. Isn't he the leading candidate on the Democrat side?
I think it's between him and Figures.
Okay, that makes sense. And I would say Dick Brubaker's probably the one to win this Republican nomination coming up.
Dobson's on his heels.
I like Caroline Dobson a lot. I'm undecided on that.
She's impressed me.
Race. Yeah, absolutely. But according to Alabama Daily News, State Senator Tim Melson has drafted legislation that says, quote, any human egg that is fertilized in vitro shall be considered a potential life, but shall not be considered for any purposes a human life, a human being, a person, or an unborn life, unless and until the fertilized egg is implanted into a woman's uterus and a viable pregnancy can be medically detected. The entire in vitro fertilization model of healthcare is at risk, Melson, a medical doctor, told the outlet on Thursday. Everything from the cost of insurance to flat out giving it up because it's not worth it anymore. Eric Johnston, president of the Alabama Pro-Life Coalition and author of Alabama's 2019 abortion ban law, told 1819 News on Friday, the two legislative proposals so far were very ill-informed efforts. Most significantly, they are proposed statutes. They cannot modify the Alabama Constitution as interpreted by the court. It will require a constitutional amendment, Johnson said in an email. A bill can be passed quickly with majorities in both chambers and the governor's signature. A constitutional amendment would take more time since it requires 60% approval in both chambers and approval by Alabama voters on the ballot. Governor Kay Ivey said in a statement on Friday she was closely following the IVF issue. Quote, following the ruling from the Alabama Supreme Court, I said that in our state, we work to foster a culture of life. This certainly includes some couples hoping and praying to be parents who utilize IVF. Republican colleagues in the legislature, Tim Melson, along with Senate and House members, are working on a solution, Sugar, to ensure we protect these families and life itself. I look forward to continuing closely following this issue. House Speaker Ledbetter said in a statement, quote, the legislature will soon consider a solution that preserves our Alabama values by empowering IVF clinics to continue assisting couples in bringing new life into the world. Alabamians strongly believe in protecting the rights of the unborn, said Ledbetter, but the result of the state Supreme Court ruling denies many couples the opportunity to conceive, which is a direct contradiction. I just wanted to read that straight through. Caleb Taylor there reporting that for 1819 News because, well, this became international news.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of folks watching. It's not every day I look down and there's the New York Times talking about UAB. And
well, even Trump commented on it. He said he strongly supports it. Says, calls on Alabama lawmakers to protect access.
Well, relevant to our previous conversation, metaphysics and politics are you really have to come together on this because the biology is clear.
Right.
But they're not making a biological argument here. They're making a potential life. It's only a potential life. It's not an actual life.
Now,
but that's not a biological statement.
Is the very act of creating fertilized egg embryo in vitro and then freezing it, is that kosher? Lack of a better word.
It is. I mean, it is how you would measure a life. It is an independent biological organism of the genus Homo sapiens sapien,
Right.
with an independent DNA string from the father and the mother.
Right.
Now, it really doesn't matter to me if you say it's not recognizable to me perceptively as a life. It's measurably a life. It's just underdeveloped.
And then from there, once they try to place it in a uterus, it's usually not just one, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes the procedure goes down and nothing takes. There's no implantation.
Yeah. They create several embryos and they go until one catches. And if there's remaining embryos that are unused after a period of time, they're destroyed. Which that's where the argument is, right there. Is destroying a fertilized embryo the destruction of a human life? Biologically, yes. Now, does that mesh with philosophy and ideas? That's a debate that we need to have. But it's an interesting one. We're having a metaphysical discussion in politics.
Right. And it's we'll see where the state goes with it. It makes me think, though, the distinction between negative and positive rights, though, too. Are you required to do it's once an embryo's in a frozen state, does it have a right to life from there?
I would argue yes.
Okay.
Because I have to you have to be a bit absolutist on this because we as a human species have a very, very, very bad history of relegating certain types of people as less than or non-human simply because we don't recognize certain traits in them. Now, the biological construction of an embryo is identical to that of a human being. It's just in a different environment. It's underdeveloped. It's smaller in size, and it has a specific level of dependency. All of those variances also continue outside of the womb as well. So how can you be philosophically consistent while being biologically consistent? That is a question that I don't think that the lawmakers that we have the sufficient... I don't think they have the ability to debate that, much less understand it or interpret it.
Well, we got to hit a very quick break here, and hopefully we'll have room to get Ray Bowles on, and we got some calls rolling in.
I'm sure we do.
But we'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Hello, Alabama. This is your all-time favorite president, Donald J. Trump. My friend, Congressman Gary Palmer, is running for re-election to Alabama's 6th Congressional District. Gary is an America First conservative who is fighting to secure our border, strengthen our military, and protect and defend our undersea Second Amendment. Alabama, please get out and vote for Gary Palmer for Congress on March 5th. He will not let you down. Thank you.
I'm Gary Palmer, and I approve this message.
In Alabama, more than 200,000 of our friends and neighbors are living without health coverage. Often folks can't stay healthy enough to keep their jobs. We need to fix this. Contact Governor Kay Ivey and let her know. Now is the time to close the coverage gap and cover Alabama.
Paid for by the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Hear you humming over there, Eddie.
This is a jam.
It's a fun one. Maybe I'll play the actual song one day. Because
Don't ruin this.
I got it finished.
Don't ruin this for me.
Yeah, I might just ruin it.
Don't ruin this for me.
Anyway, let's go to Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
Cool. I'm doing better. Eddie was messing my mind earlier today.
I sure did.
My Friday just became really, really long thanks to Eddie.
Because he accidentally called you earlier, and you thought, where's your alarm for 3 o'clock?
Where's 3 o'clock alarm? Yeah, a little bit early.
I got 2.5 more hours to go in me. And no. It's more like 4.5 more hours in me at that point. Yeah. Because y'all are my alarm clock for 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, I got 2.5 hours to get the rest of the day done. Let's go. So what do y'all have on for this weekend?
My plan is to do nothing. Write a little music, that sort of thing.
Working at the Airbnb.
Well, I think I'm going to try to sell some floors tomorrow morning, and then after that I'm going to run up to Hardaway and get all my corn out for my turkey.
Oh, there you go.
We got to start feeding the turkeys now because, all that stuff's got to be gone 2 weeks before hunting season.
Yep.
And Sailor's killing me because spring break falls on hunting season. I think they do that on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever lines up spring break says, let's look up turkey season. Let's do spring break the first week of turkey season.
Well, they want to go turkey hunting too.
No, they want all the dance. Yeah, exactly, because they know the rest of it's going to be off the kids
right.
somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. But, hey, tomorrow we're here from 9 to 1. So if y'all need a floor, you want to come by, look at some samples, grab some stuff, take them home. Come on by, let's do it, and we'll set up a free measurement for the first part of the week.
Just that easy, folks. And people can always call you at 285-8117. They're ready to take your call, help you out. Well, have a great weekend, Ray, especially fattening up those turkeys.
I'm going to try to fatten them up. Put my cameras out and see what we got hanging around. So, guys, y'all have a great weekend.
You too, Ray. See you, brother.
272-9228. I think we have time to fit Urbanite in here. Hey, Urbanite.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Pretty good. How you doing, Urbanite?
You guys brought up two things, especially you, on the embryo thing, and I think that Democrat logic was very sound when he said, it's not a kid that's been implanted. Because you and I both know when you do the in vitro, they produce probably 30 or 40 embryos at one time for the parents to pick through.
Right.
I mean, so would that be a future process we need to cut back? Because you can't keep that stuff frozen forever, and then somebody's got to be responsible for it.
That's the debate.
Yeah.
The way it is right now, I know because I grew up in the 80s and 90s. That was considered medical waste.
Yeah.
Now, as far as that hospital in Mobile, have you guys investigated that whole story? Was that person a protester or something?
It was a patient.
Because it really feels like this lawsuit was catered to this event.
Yeah, it was a patient that started wandering and started fooling and dropped one on accident after she got a cold burn on her hand from picking up one of the embryos.
Yeah, but come on, you know how wild that sounds. A patient started wandering. I mean, I'm sure I've never been to the hospitals down in Mobile, but I'm sure that lab is a long way from patients' rooms.
Well, that's what the court filing said, and that's the only thing I can base it on.
Oh, I feel you. Have you ever been to the hospital in person to kind of see the lay of the land?
No, I haven't
down
been
there a
interested
lot?
enough to do that.
All right, so here's the deal. You think that the Hatchers or whatever the congressman idea was, you think it's a sound? Because right now Alabama's not looking good.
Tim Melson's idea, you mean?
Yeah, I don't think we're looking good in the media. We got to get out of this. We got to get out of this and look good at the same time. We got to Forrest Gump this, guys. We got to Forrest Gump this thing.
I would be more interested in us doing
affect-
the right thing instead of the one that makes us look good to everyone else. That's the debate that should be happening.
So what's the right thing? Because once again, when you do in vitro, you're producing a bunch of embryos to make the in vitro.
Well, that is the debate: is are biological, actual human embryos, do they have the same rights as a 6-month-old in the womb or a 6-month-old out of the womb? That's a debate that needs to be had.
Well, and
I'm clear with that as long as you say it that way. Thing is, I know lawyers don't normally say it that way.
Well, that's not the job of lawyers.
All right,
Isn't to debate the morality of a particular thing. They're making a legal argument, which is what the Supreme Court did. They said that this was consistent. The humanity of an embryo is consistent with the Alabama Constitution, and it absolutely is.
And so you're going to see the political process work. You're going to see more legal arguments and, the moral questions, and we'll play our small part in it. I'm out of time
All right,
overnight.
so
I got it
no
right.
problem. You guys have a good one.
See you every night.
Well, thank you, Craig. Thank you, Eddie.
No problem, Joe.
Y'all stay tuned. Happy Hour with Greg Budell. Well, he's next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
Well, that's our news. I'm John Scott. Israel seeks open